Stop it. Get some help.
You know how the false prophet said, have you ever been swallowed?
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming and you were at your wit's end? That is my point of view.
More proof. Nah. This is going to be more than just highlighting, Manosphere Highlights Daily, but also showing some things that I saw, particularly in the later half of last week, that disturbed me. But it's okay. At least I know. At least I know now. We will watch that 10-minute video in a little bit. I've watched it already. And we're going to show you some people. Because I went in a couple of live chats last week of some decent content creators. And their response is wild. I'm talking about their response to CGA, what he was saying was wild, especially the questions I would ask the content creators in the chat, and they were answering me. They were answering me, and I was just like, the answers that I got back, and I'm like, and you disagree with CGA? So this whole thing about Andrew Wilson being this great debater, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna stick by my opinion. I'm not impressed yet, right? But seeing what I saw last week really disturbed me. And I'm gonna show you. And by the way, there was a content creator that made a video about me, which and we will probably go over that. Probably. I'm wrestling on whether I should do it or not because AJ knows the guy, but for the guy to still he technically did two videos on me. He did it via live stream, and then he did a separate video. I guess, quote unquote, going in on me per se. But he said something very interesting in the video that I might play that video as well. And the guy that I'm talking about, I'm not going to say his name. I'm just going to say it's the personal trainer that was in the chat. He made a whole video about me. I was like, wow. I was like, wow. And here's the thing. I've been on Dr. L's channel. I don't know if you guys know who that is. Apparently he's from Connecticut. He made a video. He didn't like the debate. He didn't like Andrew Wilson. He didn't like CGA. He said himself, I don't even like CGA's content. But he didn't dismiss the points. He pointed out, okay, this is the point CGA is making. This is the point Andrew Wilson is making. I think both of them are talking past each other. What I'm coming across with the Andrew Wilson supporters, they're just saying, oh, he made 0 points. He made no point. I'm like, what are you guys, 12? Where basically you just blindly defend the person without even labeling the points? These people just invade. They'll just invade people's chats and just say he made 0 points. At least when I came on Broski's chat, I remember there's another person I came on chat. At least I was able to be like, this is the point that Andrew Wilson made. I disagree with this because blah, 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 blah. This is the point that Andrew Wilson missed. I was able to literally label out the points. I'm talking about on both sides. And say what I thought Andrew Wilson said wrong and what CGA said right. Bias, if that may be, but at least I was able to say there were points made. What the Andrew Wilson stands, what I've seen from these people, these wannabe Christian nationalists, these guys are losers, respectfully. They'll just come on here and just say CJ was incoherent. He made 0 points. He made 0 points. Really? This is what we're doing? I'm just in there like, wow. Let me show you this though. Let me show you this. There's this one content creator I have to put him on blast. Not the personal trainer. I gotta put this other content creator on blast. So right here, his name is QV1C. Now I don't like I said, don't leave hate comments. Like I said with the black woman that was stalking me with the female journalist comment I made. Don't leave hate comments. Don't do none of that. I don't want you guys to do that. But I'm just showing you. This guy, I went on his chat. He acted like CJ made no points. No points. Then I go on to ask him. I tell him in the chat, CJ is saying with Andrew Wilson's proposal, even in fantasy land, that still doesn't save you from if she pulls the plug, that still doesn't save you from family court. If she decides to bring you there, it's literally up to her. And you know what he responded back to me? On inshallah. I don't know what that means. Inshallah or wallahi, right? I don't know what the Muslims be saying when they're saying I swear to God, right? I swear to God, this dude's he said back to me, what's the big deal about family court? These are the people that said Andrew Wilson won. He said, what's the big deal about family court? And I was just like, are you serious? Then he self-voluntarily tells me, Cool VC here, he self-voluntarily tells me and everybody else in the chat, well, I don't know anything about the family court, but my current wife does, and the kid that she has from another. I'm like, so you a stepdad and your wife knows about the family court firsthand. And you took that on, but you saying CGA is wrong. I'm sitting there just like, I had like my hands on my head when I heard this live. Now, here's the trap about this channel. Here's the trap. You guys are gonna have to take me on my word. The reason why I'm saying you have to take me on my word is because he doesn't allow, only members are allowed to watch his replays of his live chats. This is why you guys are gonna have to take me at my word. As you're looking at his channel, as I'm showing you, it's members only. Well, let me just click it just to make sure. Yep, members only. To watch the replays of his live chats, it's members only. So, but if you guys want to, let me see if that live stream is still up. Because he was coping heavy. I'm talking about coping heavy. Like really, 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 really heavy. I'm trying to see which stream it was per se. I hope it's the right one, but he was coping heavy. I'm gonna have to do some research and make sure it's the right stream that maybe somebody wants to join his channel to see what I'm talking about. But I joined his live stream, and that was his response. And this is where I'm like, okay, I know what kind of people I'm dealing with. These are people that have no idea. And unfortunately, they're going to have to learn the hard way. Let me look at this comment. Pyro says, by the way, these are the same ones calling dudes who can't get 304s losers, just like the Democucks that they hate so much. No, like I said, those guys, like particularly the guy I'm talking about, Cool V1C, I mean, he's just gonna have to learn the hard way. That I was just like, I washed my hands on that. Right. So, right, like out of his words, this is what he said. He is currently a stepfather. And he doesn't know, he said he has no experience with the family court. And he's married to a woman that has a son from a previous marriage. So you already know what that means. That means the wife that he currently has most likely dragged her baby father into the family court situation. If he has custody, if they have, especially if they have custody. So I didn't ask no more questions. I didn't even ask, did you adopt him officially? Did you, because he's already losing. So I didn't even go no further. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just leave that alone. Pyro said, just because he said I'm not getting a divorce doesn't mean she won't leave you high and dry. Pyro also says that MFer probably watching you right now. And then I got what's it? Yeah, and just to show you that I'm not making this stuff up, with the personal trainer, he made, because he has a few thousand subs. He has a following himself, so I'm not poo-pooing that. But he has a following. But he kind of prides himself on being a debater himself. Martin Ruelas. Let me look up his channel real quick. On the edge. Let me see. On the edge. All right. So, like I said, I don't want you guys hate comments. That's not what I'm here. I'm just showing you proof, right? Just to show you I'm not making this stuff up. This like this is because I don't just, there's a lot of things that I say on this channel. I'm trying to make sure I keep it bare minimum when it comes to take my word for it. I try to keep that to a bare minimum as possible on my channel. So this is the video, right? And like I said, Martin Juarez, he has a few thousand subs. This is the video I'm talking about, right?
Paul?
Addressing Chris Mike's Cope stream, right? So that's what it's called. Addressing Chris Mike's Cope stream. And I know he had I would have sworn he had a live of it as well. He does a lot of lives. So I think that's the segment off the live. So yeah, exactly. Addressing a black cope stream. So it's the same exact. So my bad. I apologize on that. It's not two videos. It's from the live stream that he did addressing a black cope stream. And then he clipped that video and made it a separate video and called it addressing Chris Mike Cope stream. Right? So this is the live stream that he got it from. And the video is, so that video got how many views? 52 views. And then the actual video where he's specifically tagging me, which is the same exact video, it has 8 views. But most of the views came from the live stream that he clipped it from. Okay, so we might go over that video. We might go over that video because the way that the Andrew Wilson stands have just completely, they're just acting like Coach Greg Adams made 0 points. That is wild to me. You know, that's very disingenuous. And since they have a following, you can be leading your following to the slaughterhouse with that kind of thinking, right? Let me see. Pyro says he's going to get God. We'll see him in the courtroom. Yeah, we're talking about Cool V1C. Yeah, Cool V1C. He doesn't even realize he's getting finessed. But I didn't say that on his channel. I was just like, bro, like, you dealing with a single mom that has experience in the family court and you don't, and you're taking care of her kid. And I'm not, and like he said he was happy. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that he's not happy. There's, like I said, there's dudes in the market. They take what they can get, and they're happy with that. They're happy with that. That's not my place to judge, but I already know what that situation is, and we already know how that situation is going to turn out. His situation is actually quite common, right? We've actually seen people in this manosphere space go through that exact scenario that Cool V1C is going through. So it is what it is. Times, like economic times, are tough. I don't see his broad leaving anytime soon, but be careful. Guys like that, they got to be careful. And but with Cool V1C, he has a following. He has 20,000 subs. But the hypocrisy with guys like that, I tuned into one of his live streams today, and the first thing he's talking about is, making fun of a black woman that can't access SNAP or food benefits, and he's sitting there laughing. But I'm like, bro, you're taking care of a woman just like that at your own house. So how you laughing at that? But you're taking care of the white, most likely the white or Spanish version of that black woman that you're making fun of. And this is where the point. This is where I'm gonna get to that point later on in the stream. A lot of the Andrew Wilson fanboys, they feast on kicking at low-hanging fruit or picking at low-hanging fruit. That's where they get their joy from. The destruction of low-hanging fruit. And guys like that, I cannot trust. I can't trust people like that. Now, maybe, look, I come from a different time. I come from a time when, if you had like a basketball team or a soccer team or a sports team, every best player, every great player had their own team. And the best player usually gets marked by the better defenders. I live in a time and era now. Everybody wants to click up. We live in a LeBron James era. Everybody want to click up and bully on teams that don't have good players on them and stacking the decks. This is the era that we live in. This is the era that we live in. Like me. So this is why I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to that because you're gonna see with Martin Ruelas, he's going to question why I didn't debate a mentally ill black woman that was just completely lying on my name. It's like, shouldn't you want to debate that? I'm like, that's no. And picking on low-hanging fruit is why Andrew Wilson himself got exposed. This is when I did the stream last year when me and Pyro, we were on, and we were talking about how Andrew Wilson was a dumbass for trying to, quote unquote, expose Just Tree for Logic and trying to get the best of low-hanging fruit. Because now that ended up being the woman that exposed him. And he could have avoided that. But there's a segment in this space where basically I owe Undead Chronic another apology, because you got these people coming in, Myron Gaines, Fresh Prince CEO, right? These people, the Whatever Podcast, the Daily Rap Crew, no disrespect, right? They have ushered in an audience of where you have men that love to just come into space and they just like to see women, I guess, get debated and get told off of, and get told that they're prostitutes and this and that. And I'm completely past that. We have bigger problems at hand, because at the end of the day, they're going to pivot. Women are going to pivot to what's going to be best for them. Right. So when it's time for them to be a hoe, they're gonna be a hoe. When it's convenient for them to be a hoe, or when it's convenient for them to become more traditional, that's what they're going to morph into. I saw G-Man in the comments. Shout out to G-Man in the comments. And I told him, I was like, we're basically at the acceptance stage or past the acceptance stage when it comes to American women. They've showed us everything that we need to see. Anything more than that, in terms of trying to change them and what we want them to be, we're just playing ourselves. And Corey Holcomb has said something very similar on his channel for years, right? So, but this is something that I've been noticing from the group of the Andrew Wilson Stan boys, the Fresh and Fit Simps, right? I'm gonna have to start putting that channel on blast too. The Fresh and Fit Simps, the whatever podcast crew. They just like to pick at low hanging fruit, and I'm not for that. Just me. I come from a different time. Right? CS says, as long as there are guys like these that could justify or even glorify raising some other man's kids, society will never solve the single mom epidemic. Yeah, and like I said, cool V1C, he's the same one saying they're making fun of black women that lost their EBT and stuff like that. And I'm just saying they're like, you're literally, let me not repeat myself, right? But they don't even see the irony that they're living in the same situation. Shout out to Long Live the Simp. I'm sorry, Long Live the King. I'm thinking about, somebody said simpage. Yeah, you said simpage. My bad. It said Long Live the King. My bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. Long Live the King says, what's up, fellas? The trained simpage from birth is real for males. Most men have been brought up to be simps. Right? But anytime if we bring that up, like most women won't understand that. So you'll even see in some of these debates, man, you'll have a man tell a woman, yeah, most men were brought up to be simps, but they're never going to get it. They're never going to get that. So that's kind of a moot point. That's kind of a moot point to even bring up, because we know this. Oh yeah, the SNAP benefit videos. But so he said the SNAP benefit videos were hilarious, though. I can't lie. I'm not saying they weren't funny. I'm just saying when it comes to that, we already know how that's going. That how like how those videos ended up being, and the black women like snitching on themselves on these videos. I saw that coming a mile away. We already knew that was going to happen. Like that. we already know how this works. They do stuff like this because they know the BWs are going to behave with no tact, because like I said, BWs, they have no tact, they have no discretion. So something happens, they're going to be reactive, they're going to snitch on themselves. And now Walmart is going to have heightened security or heightened this or this, and then they're going to use that as the opportunity to, oh, we have facial recognition, even though they've been having this for a long time. But now this is their way to usher in what they need to do security wise, and it'll be justified. And I don't know, there's probably going to be black women that sees the stream, but unfortunately at this time, I look at a lot of BWs as low hanging fruit. And that might even be worse than what Cool V1C and all these other people are. So I don't even bother. You know what I mean? I don't even bother with that cohort, with that demographic. You know what I mean? So Pyro says, I rather avoid B-dubs on the internet. Exactly. That misses accountability type of B-dubs. Oh, shout out to G-Man in the chat. Here. Shout out to you. He said, facts. The RP rage is running cold at this point. Whatever pod and stuff like that outlives its usefulness real quick. They saw an opportunity, because I think they saw specifically Fresh and Fit, and they saw the money that they were raking in with like super chats, and they see how dudes is willing to spend money just to super chat And in these super chat, they're just talking crazy to the hoes that they would never say to them in real life. They would never. Those same dudes that are super chatting all the hate comments to the OnlyFans broads. If those same OnlyFans broads came up to them and said, "I'm changed, I'm a Christian," and all this stuff, they would fall for it. They would fall for it, man. Let me see. It's a nickname for my old man. But yeah, I was seeing G-Man in the chat. So shout out to G-Man, because like we're basically at I'm at the acceptance stage. I'm not like, and I'm not saying I never really had a RP rage per se. It's just my quote unquote, the red pill for me is not just a woman thing, right? Even though it's mostly, this is how it got popular, but me learning about how politics really work, how the government really work, how churches really work, that was my real quote unquote RP rage, right? So when I started to figure out, okay, this is how relationships are, the women are, blah blah blah, this is where I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is where I was just like, oh, I see. This is what I'm doing wrong. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And especially when I was listening to Corey Holcomb, I was so mad at I was not even mad at the hoes. I was so mad at myself at just like how I was acting as a man. And then on top of that, I was like, man, I wish I was listening to Corey Holcomb in 2012, his podcast in 20, because he had a podcast even back then. I just, if I had listened to Corey Holcomb in 2012, there's so many moves in life that I would have made that, oh, my life would have been so much different. I think, so that's kind of where my RP rage was, not necessarily even the hoes. So accepting what women really are in the grand scheme of things, it was more of a relief where I was just like, okay, the mystery is over, right? The mystery, the veil is gone, right? So that it was more of a relief for me. You know what I mean? Even like the women that I knew, I was able to forgive the women that I knew. That I was just like, oh, okay, that was my fault anyways. I should have known this. Right. Shout out to CS. He says they glorify cuckoldry via their faith. He's talking about the Christians, right? The Christian conservatives, right? He says they glorify their cuckoldry via their faith, but at the same time go on, make a name for themselves, claiming save the morality of society while being part of the problem, to being the safety net of the single moms. Like, these are the people that are mad at us for walking away. And like I say, cool V1C, with what he admitted about his personal life, he's part of the problem. He doesn't realize it, but you a rest haven for hoes. Brian Simmons says, get to the point. Oh, that's another Andrew Wilson guy. G-Man says, exactly. Women are just the tip of the iceberg. It's a good primer, or I hope I'm saying that right, primer for uncovering why society is the way it is. And it actually, like, G-Man, that even also, when it comes to racism, I was like, oh, this is just about bitches. It really made me look past a lot of things. Sorry, not look past. It made me go, oh, I see why this dude did this to me. This person did that to me. And this also, where even when I was in like high school or college, I was wondering, like, okay, why are the big time jocks, the big time jocks, the actual big dudes on campus, they're the nicest to me. But it's like the dudes underneath that would do all the snake ish on me, spread rumors on me, right? Do whole shit around me when I'm around women. I'll be around a woman and they say, oh, this guy has no experience. It's stuff like, I'm like, why are these guys doing? But when it came to the actual big dogs on campus, right? The dudes that actually get hoes, they never did that to me. So I was just like, oh, I see why that everything, a lot of these things that we do is just all dating strategies, right? So I was able to forgive people. Like, so that was this was very important for me, right? Let me see. Brian Simmons says, "Isn't that usually the progressives that push for cuckoldry?" Well, there's a lot of people in this space, right? Or, you know, so-called Christian ethicists, like Andrew Wilson wants to claim. Oh, I'm a Christian ethicist, but yeah, I'm gonna buddy up with everybody else in the RP to make sure they don't say nothing bad about my name. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna I'm gonna go on this show. I'm gonna go on this show. I'm gonna go on Michael Certain show, Rolo show, and just. Oh, but I'm not part of the RP. But I'm gonna use the views and spread what I want to spread. But I'm not part of the RP. And he's right. He's not part of the RP. But he definitely. These guys are like vampires of the RP. They think they're quote unquote based or uh they think they're better than us, right? Steve Crowder, he suffered from that same, mental illness. you know Now Steve Crowder's situation, that was obvious. We already knew that was going what happened to him was going to happen to him. Now, I didn't know it was going to be that soon, but we already knew what was going to happen. So he's just going to have to learn. Now, with Andrew Wilson's case, he'll come across as holier than thou. Now, at least with Crowder, he was just in a regular marriage situation where it just went bad. But Andrew Wilson's situation is already a wreck. It's already a wreck. You know what I mean? So this is crazy to me. You know what I mean? This is crazy. Roman, what the fuck? This guy's probably Greek. Okay. Roman S. I can't say his last name. He said, "Yo, did I miss the L?" He says, "Isn't Andrew bigger than all of those?" Oh yeah, he's bigger than he has a bigger audience than CGA. All these people. This is why I'm concerned. This is why I'm concerned, because he has a large a large audience, and he's leading these people astray. He's really leading these people astray, and unfortunately, with this manosphere space, red pill space, we have been infiltrated by these people, respectfully, people like you, right? Respectfully, and y'all, hey, you guys are just gonna have to learn. You're just gonna have to learn. I had an African substitute teacher back in the day. I would ask him about certain things. I would literally ask him about certain things, and I'll be like, what if I do this? What if I do? And he'll be like, "Don't worry, you'll find out." Don't worry, you'll find out. Now, he had more of a high pitched voice. My voice is too deep to hit it. But he used to have this easy. Don't worry, you'll find out. You'll find out. And it made me think. I was like, oh shoot, he must know something that I don't know. You know what I mean? So I had to, and that's what it is with a lot of these the purple pillars that have invaded this space. You know what I mean? But shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily for going out on the limb, because now, you know what's interesting? Most people weren't willing to go out on the limb and say that Andrew Wilson got destroyed, because they saw all the popular podcasts say, "Oh, Andrew Wilson," basically all the more popular podcasts sided with Andrew Wilson just off of clout, until they actually watched the debate, which I suspected most people did not watch the debate. Or they just went off of the numbers and went on Andrew Wilson's side. So now you have people, they're starting to become brave enough to be like, oh, I see what I see what Coach Greg Adams was saying. But like I said, Andrew Wilson has pull. He has an audience. I didn't know he had pull like that. You know what I mean? I had no idea he had pull. Let me see. I'm seeing a lot of things. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat. Speak Easy says, bro, when are you going to stop yapping and debate me on marriage? There's nothing to debate. There's nothing to debate. If you, by the way, please don't be one of those, because I think you are one of those people. You are one of the, I think it was like you and a lot of other people just that were saying that Coach Greg Adams made 0 points. You're just basically putting earplugs in your ears while he was talking, because he put you guys and you normies on a lot of game. Just the fact that Andrew Wilson didn't know that a divorce that a divorce is a lawsuit, just the fact that Andrew Wilson didn't know that should have been cause for concern for you guys. Like I'm concerned for that, for from that side. I'm very concerned. Let me see.
It's all going to boil.
So shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily for being one of the bigger platforms that was brave enough to put Coach Greg at why Coach Greg Adams destroyed Andrew Wilson on marriage. So shout out to him for being brave enough to put it. A lot of these guys are afraid to kind of be anti Andrew Wilson because he has a lot of fans, he has a lot of pull, and Andrew Wilson has been on a lot of these people's podcasts, right? Leeching off of the RP for views, you know. So I might, let me see, because that video is about 10 minutes long. Let me just see some of these other comments. Brian Simmons said, how is he leading his audience astray? He isn't red pill. He's driving people to the church. Why is that a bad? Look, oh man. Oh, that is wow. You guys are slow. Respect. I will say this respectfully to the church people in the comments. Y'all are slow. Super slow. The church is part of the problem, but the church has been part of the problem. Like, we're already like you talk about, I'm not MGTOW per se, but I am MGTOW adjacent, right? So I'm already past that. The church is part of the problem. The church got more. You're more likely to find a hoe in church than on the outside nowadays, man. The church? What are you talking? That was the problem. That's what CJ was trying to tell Andrew Wilson. He's like, bro, we got to get you out of the church. We got to get you in reality. And then at the end of the day, even if you keep people in church, what kind of women are you going to meet in church? You just going to take her word for it? You just going to take her word for it? Wow. Okay. Speakeasy says, anytime you're ready to catch an L on a marriage being beneficial for men, debate me, let me know. Right. I don't have that Marshawn Lynch. I don't have that Marshawn Lynch meme. Remember when Marshawn Lynch had the media day fiasco? And he just there's a picture of him just having his thumbs up to the news reporter while the news reporter is trying to talk to him about something that he doesn't care about, and he just has his thumbs up. I don't have that meme, but anyways, Brian Simmons says marriage is only beneficial to men if he has children. Everything else in marriage is for the women. But at the same time, if you have children in your little non-state marriage, even if it's not an official divorce, if she decides to bring you to family court, it's up to her. It's completely up to her. It's completely up to her. Now, if you want to roll the dice on that, have at it. Roll the dice. Completely roll the dice. Said Roman said Adams disappointed me in that debate. What, you thought he was too mean? He's too mean. He's not nice. He called him a Neanderthal. He called him a Neanderthal for a reason. That nigga's slow as hell, bro. He's living in I'm not gonna say cuckoo land, but bro, he's got to catch up. This is a different time, man. This is time. This is a different time. Speakeasy. He's oh shoot. His Rachel's side dude is in the chat again. Oh Lord. Oh man. But like I said, shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Because you're gonna see more and more bigger channels actually be like, oh, actually, Coach Greg Adams won this debate. And then it's gonna be me in the comments section be like, yo, where were you guys? You guys were sitting in the sideline while I was taking arrows, taking bullets. Well, not bullets, but you know what I mean. Oh man. Riley Layton said, you started 30 minutes ago and only 20 people are watching. Who are you? Yeah, I'm nobody. I agree with you with that. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But this is just like I said, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. But yeah, don't ever, even if I get bigger, pause. Don't ever think I'm somebody like special or anything. Let me see. Speak Easy Music. He says, you should be concerned about why you got to hide behind YouTube videos and not put your arguments and worldview to the test. Well, clearly you can go through my channel if you have the patience to. I've documented everything, my worldviews, my personal experiences, where I live. I've put everything out there. The older you can ask anybody, if you recognize anybody in the chat, they could back me up. I've put everything out there. I put prescriptions since people said we not giving, people are not in this space is not giving men solutions. I've given solutions. I've pointed people to the right direction in terms of what channels to watch. I've told even you guys, I tell you guys, watch Aaron Clary, watch Better Bachelor, right? These are the two channels I can say. I would, like I said, you guys don't even have to be a fan of Coach Greg Adams. Don't get me wrong, guys. You don't have to be a fan of Coach Greg Adams. That's not, trust me, that's not what I'm here to say. But to say that Andrew Wilson was right on this particular debate, this is where I'm worried. This is what worries me, right? But like I said, you don't have to listen to me. I'll just say this. Listen to Better Bachelor, listen to Aaron Clary, and see if what they're saying is not rational. Now, if you think they're not rational, I can't help you. Those are the two guys I can point in terms of one of the more popular creators. They don't beef with anybody. They don't take sides. They just see what they see, and they're completely on the men's side. That's what they're here for. Better Bachelor and Aaron Clary, right? Watch them. But if you see what if you watch what they're talking about, and you still have the same opinion, I don't know. I can't save you. I can't save you. I can't save you. Roman says, oh, I'm not afraid. I'm just waiting for the proof. LL19 watching. Oh, so I'll say this. See, G-Man says, why do you think he's driving people to the church to find a marriage partner, which isn't a solution considering divorce family courts don't care for scripture and the pews are full of 304s? Well, they don't know. Because like I said, I'll say this particularly with the black community, we already been through the church phase or the rescuing single moms, rescuing the black community, one single mom at a time. We've already been through that stage. You know what I mean? That's we've been there, done. We've been there, done that. The personal trainer. Let's go. But anyways, man, I think I let me start the Manosphere highlights video. I might have to start it because I do like to read the comments. I don't want to disregard. I don't want to disregard any comments, whether it's pro what I'm saying or against what I'm saying. Yeah, so Connor Behringer said it's weird. I can't find a single big creator claiming Andrew took an L. Yeah, except for Manosphere Highlights Daily and Angry Man. And Angry Man, he kind of took the side of like, man, this is a waste of time anyways. But he was more on Coach Greg Adams' side. But people they're going to kind of they're not going to take what Angry Man is saying. They're going to take it with a grain of salt because there's a relationship between Coach Greg Adams and Angry Man. They have massive respect for each other. They always talk good about each other. So, but with Manosphere Highlights Daily coming out, I've seen some other channels starting to come out and they're saying, look, Coach Greg Adams won this one. So you're going to see more and more. You're going to see more and more. But specifically, I already said it, Connor, earlier. Most of the big creators, Andrew Wilson has collaborated with them. So you see the science behind that. Do you see the science behind that? Most of the bigger creators, was it Mediocre Tutorials and what's it, Poor Man's Podcast, or like Fresh and Fit and these other Rolo. Andrew Wilson has collaborated with them. Like I said, he's a, it's good politics. It's good politics. It's great politics, actually. So CS says, have you guys seen men get hollowed out by the court and keep grinding despite not being able to have a relationship with the kids because feminists and simps side with the woman's side? Well, like I said, one of the guys, Cool V1C, right, for example, he said himself, he's dating a single mom. Sorry, he's married to a single mom. And he's taking care of another man's kids. He said specifically he has no experience with the family court, but his wife does. Right? So, I mean, what do I say to a guy like that? I can't. What do I say? What do I say? A lot of those guys, they have no idea what family court is, really. He doesn't, it is what it is. Right? Yeah, this is true. Jester says Wilson carefully edits his debates. He cherry picks the parts where he thinks he has his gotcha moment, then emphasizes it with clickbait titles that only fools the TikTok generation. No, like I said, it's great marketing. I don't see the quote unquote genius behind Andrew Wilson, and he picks at low hanging fruit. Jester said Wilson refused an invite to Cambridge to debate. Gee, I wonder why. I'm going to take your word for it. I don't know about that. But I've seen him refuse some other certain people on debating. So Dying Slash said that doesn't make sense at all. See, the science behind it isn't even a coherent argument or sentence. Dude, I'm trying to when I'm saying it, I don't mean it literally, right? I don't mean it literally. I'm just telling you like the genius behind it. That's why I mentioned the word science, right? So when I how like when I talk about sports, right? Even though there's a science behind that as well. When I talk about this is how like LeBron James is able to make a living literally just getting layups on people because he understands the science behind I'm 6'8", I'm 250, right? I'm on the transition. I'm going to drive into people's chests. The only way they're going to stop me is if they foul me. That's a science, low key. I've described LeBron James as that, but that doesn't mean it's like literally a science. What is wrong with you debate me, bros? That's just my way of just putting things, right? It's not official. It's obviously not an official saying. That's just something I say. Okay. So Jester says yes, and he gets beaten quite a bit if you actually watch. I here's the thing, Jester. I don't think the Andrew Wilson stan boys, they don't watch. That's what I've come to the conclusion. So let me put on Manosphere Highlights Daily. Shout out to him for being one of the first like bigger creators that went on Coach Greg Adams' side on this. Shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Let me put this on not full screen, but let me put this on. Shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily, and he's going to explain why Coach Greg Adams won this debate from the beginning. And I just want to see if the detractors are going to say that he has no point here as well.
It's all going to boil down to in the law. And there's no church reverend that's going to go into your household to make sure there's social pressure on your wife. Do you know any?
Sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know any that can cover all marriages? That answer is no.
Yes. By the way, when you keep
are we in reality here?
I'm
or are we
trying.
in the clouds?
Coach Greg Adams and Andrew Wilson just had a debate about marriage that exposed a war inside the manosphere. One man was talking about reality, the other was selling a fantasy, and by the end, it wasn't even a contest.
That's how I saw it as well. That's just, if you watch the debate, that's what happened. If this, if that. So you're basically saying Coach is right, but you want Coach to enter your fantasy land.
Respect both these men. Andrew Wilson is a master debater. Coach Greg Adams, he's the coach who took the manosphere to the next level when he came on the scene between 2018 and 2019. Putting them together, pure gold. Salute. But let's get straight to the main event. The core question was,
we're going to talk about today, is marriage worth it for men in the West?
Is marriage worth it for men in the West? This means men in general, young, old, black, white, religious, or not. And the West is the legal battlefield of the US, Canada, and Europe. That's the playing field. Now let's get to Coach Greg's opening statement.
Exactly. Let me fast forward here.
Who wants to start off?
Yeah, man, marriage is a great institution. It was an institution that built the community of America. Most of the better communities that have safety, good children, good schools are typically centered around marriage. However, marriage has not progressed to the point where men could be safe legally, and a lot of men have experienced tremendous damage, collateral damage as a result, and it has.
Let me pause. I saw a comment. Oh, no, not this one. Garrett said, Coach is not pro-feminist. So what Garrett is saying, Coach is not pro-feminist, it was argument later on in the debate. Andrew Wilson was saying, you're just, not only he was saying that Coach was just making a pro-feminist argument, he was saying that Coach Greg Adams is just the flip side of feminism, which is the same accusation that most of us in this space have gotten from the normies. So that's where he's coming from. The cup is bad. Coach got pummeled. You didn't like I said, you didn't watch it. You didn't William Elliott, I'm sorry, you didn't watch it. You didn't watch the debate. Because like I said, there was only a few people that I was on the stream with. Shout out to Dr. L. He didn't even like the debate. He doesn't like Coach Greg Adams. He doesn't like he respects Andrew Wilson more than CGA. And even he was just like, well, these are the points here. He's right here. Most of the Wilson fanboys, they just say he made 0 points. And that's very lazy analysis. You can't just be a blind, just a blind supporter. You're setting yourself up for failure with that kind of mentality.
Led to broken families, a lot of broken hearts, simply because the laws are not positioned to benefit both people in a divorce. Therefore, you have no-fault divorce. You have opportunities for women to use the courts against men. And as a result, men have seen 1, 2, and 3 generations of men getting harmed, their grandfathers, their fathers, their uncles, their brothers getting harmed by this. So Generation Z men are not positioning themselves for a positive marriage. So at this particular point,
hold up.
Oh yeah. So by the way, let me emphasize what G-Man is saying right here. To all Andrew Wilson fanboys, why did he marry a woman with a cheating 304 phase past despite being a man of God? In other words, Andrew Wilson, conservative, ecclesiastical marriage, married a woman at the age of 25, 24. Rachel Wilson was 29 at that time. He married a woman that had 2 baby daddies and 3 kids. Now, mind you, Coach, he just whatever. He married a woman, had 2 kids, didn't have no outside kids, and then he got divorced. But you're telling me Andrew Wilson you're telling me CGA's the degenerate. Oh yeah, mind you, CJ's been single ever since. But CGA's the degenerate. And nobody could ever answer. Okay, so how come he's talking about an ecclesiastical marriage? He's selling something that he's not even a part of. And not only he's not a part of it, he has a completely secular. He has a more secular marriage than most secularists. He married a bitch with 3 kids from 2 different baby daddies. He married a white Keisha, if that makes sense. He married a white Keisha, and nobody could ever. How can you they can't even dispute it. But he'll come up in there, act all holier than thou, debating against OnlyFans 304s that are already you can't even. There's nothing to do with them. He debates low hanging fruit. That's what he does. Yep. Jester says moral gatekeeper preaches purity on stream, then marries a woman who contradicts his own standards. The hypocrisy is the content. # double standard. It is what it is. They have no comeback for what I said, though. All it says is, well, she has a past. Well, everybody has. I'm like, come on, man. We can't be doing this. They be making all these excuses for this dude. So Mr. G says facts matter. Rachel was only with 2 people before he met Andrew. Oh, that's what you think. you think the only 2 people that Rachel had sex with was her 2 baby fathers? Bruh. This is the nonsense I'm talking about right here. If you think that, bro, there's no way. Stop it. G-Man, you had a nickname for Rachel Wilson. What was it again? You said her nickname was like RP Becky. You called her RP Becky or something like that. I hope I'm getting it right. So Rachel was only with 2 people. First was his high school sweetheart, didn't work out. Second, it was an abusive relationship. Okay, we're done here. We are done here. We're done. She's only been with 2 people. Yeah, that happens to be her 2 baby fathers. You think those are the only 2 dudes she was messing with? You see, okay, Pyro, G-Man, the regulars in the chat. I know CS, you're new, so you might not completely know. The regulars in this chat, you see why I gotta tell dudes, bro, women don't start at 18. Right? You see why I gotta tell the audience, I gotta tell the young kids, like, yo, girls they don't start at the same time as men. They start really young, unfortunately. Right? This is what they do. This is why I have to drive home that point, because clearly they don't know. They're either being intentionally dense, or they're that slow to think that Rachel has only been with 2 people before. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You can't make this stuff up.
Up. Did you catch that? He said at this particular point, he's being specific. This is about right now.
So at this particular point, if someone asked me, would I recommend marriage for them, and they were in a certain position in life, they weren't established, I would say no. There's no benefit for the person to get married today.
Got it.
Boom, crystal clear. For men today, his answer is no. He's talking about the world we live in now.
Your response, Andrew?
Yeah, I didn't hear any anti-marriage arguments. I heard anti-divorce arguments. So I'm with you on divorce, 100%.
Stream over.
And
I agree.
But
So they agree. The biggest problem with marriage is divorce. You can't have divorce without marriage. They are tied together. This is the word that made this debate explode.
it's a good thing at the top.
Sorry, excuse me, guys. But exactly. The way he tried to separate the divorce from the marriage and act like these are just two things that are not gonna, that's like trying to separate the injuries from playing sports. Injuries are gonna happen. There's no button like you see like on Madden, you can turn the injuries off. Right? If you're playing FIFA, you're playing NBA 2K, you can turn the injuries off. Life doesn't work that way. The most marriages are going to end in divorce. So you can't just separate and act like, oh, you're not anti-marriage, you're just anti-divorce. Divorce is the only way to get divorced is if you get married. So how can you just separate it? How can you separate, especially when most of you guys, I know most of you guys want kids. Since most of you guys want kids, even if you don't get officially married or you don't get quote unquote married under the state, if you have kids, you're still going to end up in family court. I don't know how this doesn't compute to the Christians. Wild. It's beyond me. Oh man. Oh Lord. Oh, Mr. G was talking to, oh Lord. Anyways, yeah, Mr. G, you slow, dog. Respectfully, you very, very, very slow. These are the type. Remember, so you see how everybody's making fun of Akash for the comedian from Andrew Schultz show. Everybody's making fun of Akash for marrying a thought. That's what's gonna happen to most Christian dudes, because the woman that Akash married said she was a virgin, but clearly she was lying because he didn't have experience sexually with women before he met that one broad. I've had countless streams on this channel talking about stuff like that. Women lying about their body count, women lying about this, women lying about that, the reason why they lie about this. And they will still say, we don't come up with prescriptions, we don't come up with solutions. Where are you getting this from? And we're trying to save you from ending up like an Andrew Wilson, an Akash per se, right? This can easily happen to any of us. There's this saying in this space, right? We're all one blowjob away from the plantation. And seeing the Andrew Wilson fanboys come out in full force proves it. And it's even worse than I thought, because it looks like you guys are, first of all, you guys are championing a guy that married a single mom, and then on top of that, there are guys that are of Andrew Wilson's ilk. They did the exact same thing that he did, marrying a single mom. As I pointed out, one of the guys, cool V1C. So it's even worse than I thought. This is the stuff that we're actually trying to save you guys from, because it can happen. That could easily happen to you. I'm sorry to keep going off on a tangent, but this has to be said, because I've said this on this channel. We've talked about how women are being coached by other women. When they meet a guy, if you have a kid, don't tell the guy that you have a kid. So what is that woman going to do? She's going to love bomb you with sex. That's what happened to Andrew Wilson. He was 24 or 23 when he was getting sexually active with Rachel Wilson again if they had met in an earlier time, right? You kept love bombing him with sex, love bombing him with sex. And that's what happens to most dudes with not a lot of experience with women. Single moms, they find guys like that, they love bomb them with sex. They don't tell them that they have 3 kids with 2 baby daddies. They don't lead the date with that. They just don't tell you until you catch feelings for her, and now you're sucked in literally into her mess, into her drama. And now you got to look at her and be like, well, I know she's a single mom, but she's the one putting it down on me the most. So why not make it? Why not be baby daddy number 3? Why not be baby daddy number 4? Now, this can happen to any of you guys easily. Especially as I'm looking in the comment section, I'm like, wow. Oh man. Anthony G. Casey says, stick around, Crucible fanboys, you gonna learn. They need to really catch up. There's a reason why Coach called Andrew a Neanderthal. It's more than just the physical. It's more than just physically. It's just his mindset. It's everything. It's everything, man. You know what I mean? But like I said, people that have watched my channel, I've gone over this. I've had people do you guys remember that young kid that called into the show and we stay in constant messaging, right? And he had a question. He was like, well, there's this girl that's hanging with me. She has herpes, but I'm like, no, bro, you got to get rid. You got to get rid. There are dudes that they get caught up in these things and they don't realize the bitch is she's working you. I don't care if you met her in church. People say, oh, but that's because it's outside the church. These same bitches in church, they working you to where you accept it eventually. You get drunk one day, she get drunk one day. Now you ended up sleeping with a bitch with herpes. Or you end up getting love bombed with a bitch that got something that she can't get rid of. You think these bitches just lead with their degeneracy? No, they try their own version of love bombing you. CS says, any men that think the norm would be that an average woman would have less than 5 partners over a lifetime, they are blue-pilled NPCs. Yeah, there's no way around it. If they knew the body count, the actual body counts of women, they would go MGTOW. I'll say it outright. If men actually knew, particularly the Crucible fanboys, if they knew the actual body count of their Christian wives or their if they knew, they would go MGTOW. They would either go passport or MGTOW. No questions asked. They would just be like, no, I can't handle this. They would not be able to handle it. Because people, they don't even understand the numbers are so bad right now in terms of the body counts that women will rack up. I'm going to just put it to you like this, because I've said this too much on this channel, but I'll put it to you like this. If a woman has a 12 body count, she's just going to say she's a virgin. You might think it's crazy what I'm saying, but people with experience know exactly what I'm talking about. If a woman has it, like say if her actual body count is 12 people, she's just going to say she's a virgin, because the actual body count numbers that are out there that women actually have, you guys would you guys would go MGTOW. I'm talking about just automatically go MGTOW. So the person in the comment earlier that was saying that Rachel was only been with 2 people. Oh man. Oh Lord have mercy. Yeah. So Sleazy said definitely a no-go with STDs, but you don't understand. You don't understand. There are a lot of women in church that has that. That have that. And they're trying to work somebody and they're winning. They're winning. Like I've put my channel on the line talking about these things. Oh, so Grindcore says love bombing. Rachel Wilson has been submissive as it gets, even after 18 years. What the F are you talking about? Well, like I said, when it comes to love bombing, usually women love bomb men with sex and also submission because she has 2 other baby fathers. She has a pattern. What's up? I thought y'all knew about pattern recognition and all this stuff. It seems like that the pattern. Anyways, let me not even go in that. But these are the things that we talk about on this channel. This is why maybe let me not insult you guys that much. Let me not insult you. Let me not go the CGA route because he did. I'll say this: he did a lot of sneak insults, which probably wasn't that warranted. But let me not insult you guys because it's clear that there's a lot of dudes out here that have. You guys clearly don't have the necessary experience with women. It's not just talking with women or just being intimate, just observing. I don't know what you guys have been watching over these past, 10 to 15 years or so. I'll say these past 13 years. I don't know what you guys have been observing. I don't know. Oh man. Oh yeah. So yeah, this is because G-Man, like I showed that video of Just Tree last year with Pyro on the panel. And we were just like, oh, Andrew Wilson is a dumbass because he could have prevented being exposed by not picking on low-hanging fruit. He thought he was gonna win by exposing a black female that was trying to hide being an escort. It's just like, okay, look, I don't know if you felt a certain type of way when she was debating you, but exposing her for being an escort, I'm like, I hope you happy with that because she's gonna be on your ass forever. Because I got one brought on my ass just for saying she's lying. Just for saying she's lying. So that wasn't smart. Like I said, they'll learn the hard way. Unfortunately, they'll learn the hard way. But when you guys learn the hard way, it's not going to be much sympathy on my end. We've had too much people come from the space. This information that we have, we're not even supposed to know this stuff about women. We're not, but we do. And dudes still want to step into the slaughterhouse. You know what I mean? Long live the king said these dudes don't know. They're literally like deer running through a naked forest. It's just like it's stuff like this is the stuff that Corey Holcomb talks about. It's like he'll say stuff like, what's the point of these young men? You go to all these classes, you become a doctor, you become this, you become that, or you become a Christian. In this case, you become a Muslim, and you're just you're basically like food. You're food to the game. That's the best way to put it. You're basically just setting yourself up to get robbed. Sleazy said, crazy to me. Women get mad for bringing up the ish they do. Oh, by the way, I want you guys to notice there hasn't been, usually like in these kind of channels, you'll see women put their 2 cents in. Outside of Pearly, how many women have you seen comment on Coach Greg Adams being wrong? Which should actually, like, the women in that, when it comes to this specific debate, were oddly quiet when it came to this. Because if you actually watch the stream, CJ actually starts going in on, family court proceedings, where women file, where they go to file the lawsuit. I was like, damn, I'm like, low key, he's giving us a little bit more than he should. But basically, what the Crucible fanboys are just doing, la 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 la. I can't hear you guys. I can't hear. On the way to Bossing Say, that's what they doing. Only real ones know that. Only real ones know that reference. Oh, Captain, what's his name? Captain Sire. Captain Sire. I hope that's I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. He said, LMAO, red pill dorks are cringe, but you take it to another level. Good luck with your complaining, dip-ish, just like your coach. Hey, like I said, you don't have to be a fan of Coach, but hey, you've gotten all the information that you needed. I can't do any more. But anyways, let me play it. I went on way too much of a tangent.
It isn't on divorce, it's on marriage. And it seems like you agree with my proposition then. And the proposition is that marriage, quote, is a great institution. Yep. And that right now your concern is that men can't be safe in marriage, but that's not actually what you're saying. You're not saying men can't be safe in marriage, they can. You're saying that they may not be safe in divorce. So I have a counter proposition for you. My counter proposition is, what if it's the case?
Now pay close attention. Andrew's response starts with 2 dangerous words. What if? What if is a fantasy. It means you've already lost the argument about the world as it exists right now.
So I have a counter
I hope you guys caught that. But anyways,
proposition for you. My counter proposition is, what if it's the case that you can use religious marriage institutions without the state? And then we add the ecclesiastical structure of the marriage. That's what always kept them together anyway, before the state was ever involved. So what if instead we use the ecclesiastical church, the structure of the old churches, so that would be Catholicism and Orthodoxy, where you see the lowest divorce rates, because the community puts pressure on the women to act right. That's what they do. Right now, the state applies no pressure on women to act right, right? You can just go and file whatever you want, get a divorce, and go be banging the neighbor by the next night. We totally agree on that.
So he admits the state is a problem right now, but his solution is a what if. He just conceded Coach Greg's entire point.
But
exactly. What's it? Joshua Garcia said the defeatist mentality. You think it's a defeatist mentality. People put the information out there. You do what you need to do with the information. Nobody got the 12 rules of life, the Jordan Peterson book. That and anyways.
To say that we should abandon marriage is silly. It seems like you're completely pro-marriage. You're just anti-divorce. So why wouldn't you just throw your weight behind institutions where the divorce rate is the least, and you have an ecclesiastical structure which can be appealed to assist with that? That's what makes no sense to me.
My response to that is, if we're fifths, we beat all drunk.
Exactly. CGA isn't buying the fantasy. For the next 30 minutes, he holds his ground in the—
Oh yeah, mind you, right after that, Andrew was like, well, okay, can you explain that analogy? I'm like, this is where Andrew was starting to get on my nerves. I was just like, dog. And I'm talking about, it was early on in the live stream when he said that. Oh, can you explain that analogy? Nigga. It almost reminded me of the Jordan Peterson debate with the atheists. Define this, define that, define. Good Lord have mercy. Oh man. I think I missed a lot. Hold on. What did I miss? Missed some comments here. Yeah, G-Man. Shout out to you with the rep. Only real ones know that reference. They're taking a long vacation at Lake Laogai. That is another video clip. I gotta make it a soundbite. Judy. You anytime Judy starts waking up a little bit. Anytime she sees a little bit too much, you have been invited to Lake Laogai. Yo, that show, I'm not gonna say the name of the show. Not gonna say the name of the show, but that is a very deep show. I you know, let me leave that alone. Let me leave that alone. So Captain Sire says, yeah, completely ignore my comment before that where I said Andrew agrees that the government shouldn't control marriage. It doesn't matter. Obviously, they shouldn't, but they do. That's the point. They do. And even if you get a quote unquote a marriage that's not under the state, if you can even get a girl to agree with you to do that, because women don't even want to get married, just period. That's number one. Number two, they don't even want to sign a prenup. And then number three, you're gonna have to find a girl that does number one and two and decides to do it your ecclesiastical way and sign a prenup and do it without the state. And then not only that, for that to work, you can't have kids with that woman. Because if you have kids, you're still going to end up in family court. So the only way that works is if she agrees to all three, and then you guys have a short-term marriage, and both of you guys live in separate houses, and you guys don't have kids. That's the only way you can leave that unscathed. Because if you have kids, you're not leaving unscathed. You're not. You're going to family court. And ain't no type of shame or preacher pressure, community pressure. Look what happened to Steve Crowder, and you think you special. And I know most of us. Come on, man, stop. You're not escaping this work. The only way you gonna make it work is if you accept that your wife is not gonna be your first sexual partner, and you're not gonna be her last, and you completely tuck your tail in when she starts acting up, and just hope that she comes back home after her adventures with the streets. That's the only way that your ecclesiastical marriage is going to work, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Oh man. Exactly. Shouldn't, but the state is controlling it. You all of a sudden being a libertarian on marriage isn't going to change what is. They want to live in fantasy island. This is what we're living in right now. What is happening? And Andrew Wilson is talking about a complete what if scenario that 95% of women are not going to even agree to. Even the so-called good women, they're not going to agree to that. An ecclesiastical marriage without the state involved. And he's not even in one. He doesn't even know an example of one. He can't even pinpoint at least one person or like one couple in a quote unquote ecclesiastical marriage without the state being involved. The only type of dudes I can see that can get away with something like that is one of these, these Nick Cannons or Cam Newton type characters, y'all not finna get a woman to agree to that. Stop it. You're not. Most of y'all not even gonna get most of y'all can't even get a woman to sign a prenup. Most of y'all are afraid to ask your bras for a paternity test on your kids. Like, stop. Please. Kenneth G said boring. Make comments that are relevant to the topic. Nah, you just don't want to hear this truth. I'm talking about, we got two people here. We got Manosphere Highlights Daily. I'm showing the video, and you got me. We're making it as clear, as slow, and I'm slower than both of those guys. Slower than CGA, slower than and you still don't get it. You still don't see the points that he's making. Yep, society as we stand, including your Orthodox Christian women, you won't find critical mass of women, particularly women of marrying age, even the older women, that would voluntarily give up the protection from the state marriage. That's the reality. That's the reality that we live in. Of course. So Patrick A say, how do you explain the Amish? Then go be with the Amish. What do you mean? How does that explain it? Then why don't you go join the Amish? Nobody's stopping you. Then join the Amish people. Join the Amish. Even though I don't think that's going to save you. I don't think that's going to save you, me personally. But if you agree to their structure, their way of life, go live with the Amish. But now, what I'm finding is most dudes, they just want it their way. They think there's going to be a perfect solution. If you actually want that, you're going to have to give up some things. You can maybe say they are in an ecclesiastical structure, but then go join the Amish. What about the Amish? Then go join them. I was about to say this. Yeah, facts. He said the Manosphere or the Red Pill doesn't owe you prescriptions. Our job is just is to give you the description, right? And what's crazy is we've given prescriptions. We've given plenty. They just don't like the prescriptions. So what happens, particularly with Americans, what we do is, because we don't like the prescription, we just don't think it is a prescription. We just say it don't count. No, it is a prescription. You just don't like you just don't like it. But anywho. Shout out to G Man. I like this comment. He says, why can't humans fly? Because of gravity. Okay, but what if there was no gravity? That means we should fly right now. This is the Wilson logic in a nutshell. I don't like using analogies like that because what's going to happen is Andrew Wilson fanboys are going to see that analogy as simple as it is, and they're going to be offended by it. Oh, what you calling me a dumbass? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But if the shoe fits, uh-oh. Here's another one. Brendan French says, what's your prescription? Mind you, I've actually said, I gave you guys a bonus. The 2 live stream? I think 1 live stream ago, I actually gave you my personal opinions in terms of prescriptions, and people were still like, nah, I don't like that. So I'm not even going to explain myself no more. If you want to do what you want to do, you can subscribe to my channel. I've talked about these things. I've talked about quote unquote prescriptions, but at the end of the day, you're not beating the state. You're not beating the state. So there's other alternatives that you can do. You may not like the alternatives. I've said the alternatives already. I don't want to exhaust those points. Now, if you don't like the alternatives, so Sleazy said, all right, I got the answer. Find a Muslim woman. That's not going to work. I've told people on this channel, they're supposed to be the last resort. And even them, a lot of the Muslim women coming up today, they're feminists. So you're not you're not beating the game. Look, bro, I've said this once. I've said this 1,000 times on this channel. It's either you're a passport bro or you're a cleanup bro. Bottom line. You either, and mind you, the passport bro, that's not a 100% foolproof prescription right there. That's not even close to 100%. Not even close to, in my opinion, that's not even close to an 70% or 60% foolproof. But it's a prescription. But at the end, like I said, you either a passport bro or you a cleanup bro. When you're dealing with American women. Shout out to CS. He says, stop telling the host what to do. There are plenty of YouTube channels you can switch to. You know, I try to be nice. Yeah. Hey, like I said, Amish. Yep, it's about compromise. If you want what they want, go join them. They want the Amish. They want that, but with the modernities that we have. Nope, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. we live with the amenities, the modernities, the convenience of the stuff that we have, the inventions. I remember Zoe Williams said this. You can't be what he said something really powerful about being a Renaissance woman. Yeah, he said you can't be a traditional woman and a Renaissance woman at the same time. You can't. And that includes just in life in general. just in life in general. You can't expect a traditional woman, and we live in the Renaissance. You can't. You're gonna have to give up. You're gonna have to give up something. Yep. Because even if you do join the Amish, that doesn't mean you're still not liable. They have their own way of doing things, but that's, please, they're gonna find if she finds her way to the family court, there's a way. And if the lawyer wants, or the attorney pick it up. Yeah, facts. He said, please convert a modern woman over to become Amish. We'll wait. Like, yeah, he's gonna have to join. Like I said, he's gonna have to join that community. He think he's gonna make the bitch become, please. You're gonna have to join that community, but he knows he won't join that because he's gonna have to give up his conveniences. But shout out to you guys in the comments blowing it up. This is actually this is great discourse, and this does help the channel. Thank you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna continue to keep watching this video. But shout out to you guys for being active participants. I like what I'm seeing in the chat. Oh man. So Patrick says you're too low IQ to understand the Amish analogy. No one is saying join the Amish. I'm just saying the Amish have their way of they brought up the Amish. I didn't. I just know you guys are not going to join them. you're using them as an example of them being away from the state. We don't even know that for sure. We don't even know. We don't even know that for sure. I got to do more research on that. They probably still have. It's probably still under the state. And at the end of the day, if you have kids with the woman, if she goes to family court, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're married or non-married. If you have kids with that woman, you're liable to be at family court. It doesn't matter what part of the country or where you are. If you have kids with that woman, which most of you dudes want, you know. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Exactly. He basically used the analogy. So William Elliott said, Chris, did you acquire a rap sheet after you went to jail for the first time, or did they give you one when you were born in the prison? Yeah, sure. That reminds me of when that dude came in the debate. What's it, SKC? This when me and AJ was on the channel, and SKC came in the debate, and he just acted like we were just some ninjas that never been around around society or anything. I was just like, bro, we grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in this. Well, I've been in the city for a little bit, but most of my life I've been in the suburbs. Been to regular schools, colleges, right? This is just. By the way, there's black people out there that they live regular lives. Their parents have regular jobs. Like I said, the Wilson fanboys, they are way behind. I'm talking about 1950s behind. That's what I was about. Okay, CS, thank you. The irony to use Amish as an example on the internet, while Amish limit their internet exposure. What broad, and I know what you're saying too with that, and then it's like, look, even the Amish, I know plenty of. There's these sisters. They have a channel on YouTube. They're Amish. So that even that community with the internet, with the smartphone, it's tough. I mean, like, even the Amish, they ain't safe. I've been seeing some of these Amish bitches now. I've been seeing some of these Amish women getting caught getting knocked up by pookies. So it's, hey man, like I said, if like to that other dude, if he wants that lifestyle so bad, the ecclesiastical marriage, hey, go join him. Hell, I'll recommend a community. I know where specifically an Amish community in the Northeast, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Hey, I'll recommend you in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. There's a spot. I really I shouldn't even be putting this stuff out there, but this is the stuff I know. There's a spot, and it's the Amish, they do their thing over there, and you can go over there and have your ecclesiastical marriage. Place smelled like horse-ish the last time I visited that spot. Anyways, yeah, like I said, yeah. So Sleazy, shout out to Sleazy. He said there are some pretty remote places you can hide out, but from the courts, but it's pretty rough. Nah, these hoes, they know exactly. They've been given the tools, the information. They've been given everything. Like they know, they understand the information. Yeah, Gio says, seriously, dude is heated for no reason. Go back to your loving wife, Mr. William. Yeah, I saw William's comment. I'm just like, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, that passive aggressive. But like I said, because William's a different type of person. But even with SKC, who's black, SKC, he's black. I don't know the skin color of William, but SKC thought the same about me and AJ. He thought we were just sitting there talking about black women and stuff. I'm like, no, bro, we passed that. We're completely past that. Like the stereo like the stereotypes that you guys see. I mean, we in 2025, man. We in 2025. Even the ratchets are in the suburbs now. So there's no hiding. Everywhere's the streets. Everywhere's the streets. Oh, I saw the comment. Here's William. That's a soundbite reference. That's a soundbite reference. that's a sound. Yeah, but yeah. SKC was a troll. Yeah, SKC he's a well-known troll. I knew him from somewhere. SKC is a well-known troll from from the Black Manosphere space. I should have known because I was like, when Alpha called him out, he was like, wait, Supreme Coon Killer. I was like, wait, Supreme. I was like, is that SKC? I'm like, what is he doing on my chat? Shouldn't he be trolling Obsidian and O'Shea Duke Jackson and Hassan what's his name? Hassan Campbell and these people? Shouldn't he be trolling these people, the angry man? This is what he does. I'm sitting there just like, I know I knew him from somewhere. I knew him from somewhere. Oh man. Well, yeah, William thinks that Andrew's in a Christian marriage. He's but like I said, the conservatives, they got to catch up. They're very slow. To be, and I'm being nice. I'm being nice when I say slow. I'm being very, 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 very nice.
The real world.
All right, so that's a scenario that just isn't present.
Can you explain the analogy for me?
Well, if we use if, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If we say if we have a situation where this is present, then this would work. Well, that makes sense. If we had that, it would work
right now.
Well, it doesn't necessarily work because, and I'm going to tell you why, because a woman can go to a divorce attorney and they can simply just say, hey, listen, it was a off the cuff, off the state divorce, but you got married within a certain state, or she filed in a certain state, so therefore the divorce goes on. No, absolutely, yes. Well, listen, I've been to
exactly, and Andrew Wilson was already starting to dispute it off rip, already starting to dispute it. And you're just like, damn, he doesn't know. It's either, but I think Andrew Wilson knows. He's just being completely dense. Same with the pastors of today. They know what's going on, but they need the numbers. So, but for their numbers to continue to go up, they need men to fall on the sword. They need the men to fall for the gargly goop. They need the men to sacrifice. But that's not gonna be me. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
With the divorce attorneys, and what they'll tell you is, hey, listen, you can get married in a ritual, you can get married in the orthodoxy, you can get married off record, but if she files and that woman is hell-bent on saying, we got married, I don't care if it was a ceremony where we walked on coals with our feet bare, that's considered a marriage. You also have common law. You have a lot of other ways for that woman to establish marriage.
How does your way eliminate common law?
I don't have any way to eliminate common law.
This is the core of it. The state is the final boss. The church can't stop a divorce filing. Community pressure.
I don't even know why that was a question. What is your solution to eliminate common law? What solution to eliminate it? It's there. Well, I guess if you can do it without the state, which most of you guys can do, then maybe. But at the same time, like I said, like, you guys want kids. I know you guys. Y'all want kids. You guys want kids. I know this. So because that's going to happen, she's going to pop 1, maybe 2 out. And the split will happen after the 1 or 2. Most splits are not going to happen before the kids. That's not, women are too savvy. They're not going to do that. If you actually meet a woman, the way I said it, if you actually meet a woman, right? And she splits up with you or she divorces you and you already have separate assets and you don't have kids and she decides to split up with you before kids come into the picture, that means that woman actually has a heart. That means she has, that's not as bad as a woman that you think it is. Because women already, they know that's where the leverage comes in to stay in your life and keep messing up your life if there's kids. Because there's no limit. What people don't understand, there's no limit to how many times a woman can file for a modification. There's no limit. Now, obviously, most women don't have the money per se, but it still makes the courts money. So they will allow her to continue to file. She can file umpteen for limited times up until the child turns 18. And when I learned this, I was like, oh, shoot, I didn't know. And I'm like, this is why these athletes are in these issues. This is why so-and-so is in this issue with the court. You're just like, oh, damn, I didn't know. Yeah, shout out to Gary. He said, what is your solution to eliminate water? The state is always going to have their hands in there. I don't know unless you finna put unless of the the was it the Crucible fanboys do they have a plan to do a coup d'etat? Start chopping up heads or something like in the government, unless they finna do that. Hey, that's on them. That's what they want to do. Unless you finna do that, I don't know what they're talking about. What's your elimination to eliminate the state, to cut the state from the proceedings? That's not going to happen. Oh man. Let me see. Say, yeah, Chris is a coward. Keep ish talking with your AI cropped video. You could literally take this critique straight to Andrew and you won't because you're a bitch made. Well, CGA had the same critique. He just didn't want to listen. It doesn't even matter what we say. CGA told him everything he needed to know. He just refused to listen because he was just focusing on being right. There's no point of anybody that's MGTOW adjacent or of this space, quote unquote, debating Andrew about marriage, because technically he agrees with CGA. His scenario only works in an if. If we did this, if we did that, if we had the state not involved, if. So it's a make-up scenario that is most likely, I'm talking about that most men will not be able to do anyways. Most men won't even be able to pull off. So it's his make-believe scenario. It doesn't even count. And I still had the patience to listen through it. I still had the patience. I still had the decency to at least listen to it. But it just seems like with Andrew Wilson, he wasn't even trying to listen to CJ at all, including you guys. Oh yeah, he said it was an AI. What's it? They said what's in my thumbnails AI. No, I specifically searched on YouTube image of Andrew Wilson not being able to open a pickle jar. That's literally what I searched on Google Images, and there was a clip where he couldn't open a jar. So I just wanted to make fun of that because I knew that was going to trigger the Andrew Wilson fanboys. That's why I picked that thumbnail. There wasn't anything like deep, behind that. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. But that's the point, Sleazy. And that's his username. That's not me dissing him. That's literally his username. Exactly. He says that low key pisses me off how women can have no fault divorce and abortions, but if she wants to keep the kids, exactly, you're effed. Ain't that crazy? But that's most likely that's what's gonna happen. Most women, when given the opportunity to take you to family court, they're going to do it. Especially when you're talking about a split up or divorce annulment situation, they can still take you to family court. Whether you're married or not, you're still subject to family court if kids are involved. If and it's basic and it's going to be a matter of if she wants to file, which most women do. So that's not a made up scenario. That's life. That's real life. Oh man. So William also says you're all like the bishy woman you hate because you know you'd get slapped down. The irony is I haven't said a hateful word about women. I said in the beginning, we're at the acceptance stage. Most of my critique is to you guys for not knowing this and being intentionally dense or being intentionally ignorant to the facts of what women in the States are. You know, that's where we're at. Like we're past the we need to change hose. You know what I mean? We pass. Uh-oh, here we go. I just saw something. Andrew Superior says, "Oh, you're a homosexual." So this is no different from a woman that disagrees with what I say. No different. No different. And these are the people that think they're based, and they're Christian the wannabe Christian nationalists, and they got the same shaming languages, the same shaming tactics as women. You know. But anyways, Lauren B. Is that Lauren Hamilton or is that somebody else? He says, Coach thinks most people aren't capable of loyalty. Well, at the end of the day, it's all what the laws allow. So, due to the laws, when people complain about men being deadbeats, it's impossible. There's no such thing as a deadbeat because the laws don't allow men to be deadbeats. Now, ironically, in the flip side is the law literally allows women to be deadbeat moms. That's the irony. So it's whatever the law permits, and what the law permits, they basically allow women a carte blanche to whatever they want in terms of what to file on a man if they get tired of him. They can literally hand you over to the states to be screwed with. And the laws allow it. So that's where we are. So it's not even about what people are capable of and all this stuff. At the end of the day, we got laws, we have this, we have guidelines, we have rules. And currently, where we are, those rules or guidelines, they favor women. Hold on, I got to do let me just do a quick sound check. Let me just do a quick sound check real quick. Let me do one. Oh, we're good. We're good. My bad. We're good. Okay, because I accidentally stepped on. Oh no, we're good. We're good. But anyways, sorry about that. Sorry about that. So Sleazy says, I hate to sound like a pussy, but some of these men also don't deserve marriage. They want old school marriage and relationships, but put no effort in. Don't get me wrong, plenty of good dudes here. I will just say this to that statement. I will just say this. We're in a position where the gender roles have flipped. So back then it used to be the women that would push for marriage more than the men. Now we're in a situation where it's mostly, now that we all have the freedom of choice, it's mostly men pushing for the marriage more than the women, particularly when you're talking about young men. They're the ones that want to be with women more than the women want to be with the men. Now, women do want to be with men, but it's only with a certain type of man or their personal type of man. So we're basically in a sticky situation where both, particularly young men and young women, have their guards up. Nobody wants to put their guns down, right? So that's basically where we are. I said that on Dr. L's channel in the chat. That's where we are.
Can't block a child support order. So Andrew asks, what is your way of eliminating common law? See that? He's trying to drag CGA into his fantasy world to solve a fantasy problem. But CGA's whole point is we shouldn't play the game at all.
So let's start with a couple of things you said which are fundamentally untrue. Most men are religious, in fact, including in this country. Most of them, not some of them.
But they're not religious.
Hang on. I didn't interrupt.
I understand, but let me just take that point. Most aren't under your religion.
Okay.
We can agree with that.
So here's the thing, though. But Catholicism and Orthodoxy is growing rapidly. And if it's the case that the ecclesiastical structure is already there, which it is, right? If you're going to cohabitate with a woman, the thing that you're offering right now is common law marriage anyway, if there's cohabitation at all. You're not protecting anybody from that.
And this is where the men going their own way philosophy smashes the argument. This is Mr. Free Agent Lifestyle himself. CGA is forged from the fires of men going their own way. The great Barbarossa, Barbar, figured this out many years ago. You can't beat the state, so you don't play. No marriage, no cohabitation. And
I also preach that message here on my channel too. No cohabitation, no marriage, because that's when you do this, you involve yourself with the state by doing that.
Andrew is debating a solution for a world he wishes we had.
At least under my model, it gives an ecclesiastical structure that's designed to prevent divorce by applying community pressure. That was the way it was always done. Apply the application of community pressure within the confines of the woman's
community pressure. That's laughable, by the way. Even in his fantasy world, it's still laughable because we all know when it comes to churches and women, they don't hold women accountable. They don't. It's very few, very, very few. Right? I like I said, I grew up at a time where like I remember there was like certain churches I'd go to, and if a broad got pregnant and she was like 15 to 16, they would put the bish in front of the congregation for her to get shamed. That's I'll say this, that's even during that time that was rare. I didn't know it was rare at that time, but even during that time that was rare. But in nowadays, even in the Orthodox Church, that's not, no. You're not allowed to shame, you're just not allowed to shame women. That's very rare. Now, if you find a spot that can do that, great. And even that doesn't save you from family court. And even that doesn't save you. Mind you, because like a lot of these people, they bring up these anomalies, right? But it's called an anomaly for a reason. It's not normal. And I've seen these anomalies. And even still, with the anomaly examples, it still doesn't take away from the point. I'm talking about at all. Because like look, man, I seen, dude, I when I was a kid, because I think you guys don't even know, especially when you're talking about black churches. There are certain black churches I've been in. You know what, let me give you an example of when we talk about discipline, right? When I was younger and my parents was at a specific church, right? Mind you, it was not it wasn't an American church, right? Which is the majority. So this is what I'm talking about, anomalies and stuff like that. I was in a church where these dudes, it was like a bunch of older dudes. They were supposed to memorize phrases in the Bible, right? They were supposed to memorize a verse of like 6 or 7 verses. The Sunday school teachers gave the middle school students / high school students, they gave them about 2 or 3 months to do it. Now, my mom was on me, so I had to learn it. So I knew it. I knew the verses. I knew the whatever I had to learn. I had to learn it in English and another language. I don't want to say the other language, right? I had to learn it in both languages. I knew them. Now, apparently the punishment for not knowing the English, which was most of the people, they had to learn it in English. The punishment was crazy. Was crazy. I'm talking about if they did the punishment today with the kids, mind you, with the kids and the middle school, high school students. With the if they did that punishment today, what I'm about to tell you, the parents would have been arrested for abuse. So what had happened was, I come into church and I see a whole line of my ninjas, of my older ninjas, on their knees in the aisle in front of the congregation, and they had to memorize the verses in front of everybody on their knees while getting whipped. I swear on my mama, I'm not making this up. This is the type of stuff that I saw. Most churches, they are afraid to even tell abroad, hey, maybe you should keep it in. They're scared to even tell women to sleep with their husbands. What are you talking about? American churches, American Orthodox. What I just told you right now, if I told your quote unquote based Orthodox Christian, they would be appalled. Stop it. Community pressure, please. What about you talking about community bullshit? Community pressure. These Orthodox, particularly American churches, they not finna do a GD thing. If the broad decides to go wild, those are very rare churches. I've only seen one of those in my lifetime. One. I'm talking about like not online. I'm talking about in real life. I've seen one. So all that Orthodox, so he said, bro, had to learn how to speak Hebrew. Nah, it wasn't Hebrew. It wasn't Hebrew. It was something else. Yeah, it sounds like humiliation ritual. People don't know. People don't know the type of like punishments that I would see growing up. Like, is crazy work. Like, it sounds fictional. it sounds fictional. When I tell my friends, right, my American based friends, they be shocked. They're like, no, there's no way. Yeah, I'm telling you. guys have no idea. But anyways. Yeah, people don't know this. So the Jerry Solero said Pentecostal church used to make my uncle kneel on the altar for the whole service. But that was your uncle's like how old? That was back in the what, 90s, 80s? Like I was like in the last, in terms of the early 2000s, that was like the last of it. He said pastor was his father. But like I said, it was all types of kids in the aisle from what I saw. It was everybody's kids was in the aisle on their knees. getting whipped. It was I was like, what? I was like, usually me and the older kids, we would get at it because we would beef, but it's just, regular kid stuff, right? But even when I saw that, I didn't even laugh. I was like, damn. I saw that. I was like, golly, what did they do? And they're like, oh, they didn't memorize their verses. I was like, so they got to do that? Man, that scared me straight, man. I saw that. I was like, wow, that scared me straight. I was like, just for not memorizing no verses. So anytime we had to memorize a verse, man, I made sure I had that thing perfect. But I'll say this: if my mom had left it up to me, I wouldn't have memorized the verse. But since my mom had the 411, she understood how important that was. Yeah, I was just like, oh my God. I mean, the Catholics' punishment, it's vanilla compared to the stuff I saw when I was growing up. Respectfully, and I say that respectfully. And the Catholics, they're strict, but nah. Oh man, yeah. Shout out to Garrett. He says Andrew doesn't even follow his own religion. How does he expect anyone else to? And besides, his scenario is completely made up. It's a scenario that he just made up. When I did that first live stream, these dudes didn't even know what ecclesiastics is. Didn't even know. It was people that were already friends of the channel that had to tell the Andrew Wilson fanboys, oh, Ecclesiastics is a book in the Bible. It tells you it's similar to Deuteronomy. It's based on the rules and the stuff, the oughts, the stuff what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. It was people that were friends of the channel, the people that were on CGA's side that had to tell the Andrew Wilson fanboys what Ecclesiastics is. I was like, can you guys tell me in the chat what Ecclesiastics is, since you guys are pro Andrew Wilson here? In his make-believe scenario, they don't even know what ecclesiastics is. Can't make this stuff up. Yeah. Oh no, I'm not doubting what. Yeah, I know that the Catholics had the leather paddles. Look, just ask. Forget me. Ask an American black person that grew up in the South, like back, like those, like the Southern FBAs, right? The Southern Black Americans back then, their grandparents would tell them, go out there and give me something that I could whoop you with. Like they would use like the black Southern grandpas and uncles. They would literally use like wire or like a twig, a tree. They was giving them like slavery whippings. When you talk about Southern, older Southern black uncles and grandpas and grandmas, them leather paddles are nothing compared to what those guys got, And mind you, I'm against all of that. I don't like stuff like that. believe it or not. I think there's other ways to get your point across, but you can't say it doesn't work. So that's where I lose that. I'll lose that debate. You know what I mean? I'll lose that debate. It is what it is. I'll lose that debate because it does work per se, but I think that there's a better way to convey your point. But it works. It works. G-Man says, yeah, the memory verses that takes me back. They have no idea, bro. He said, I remember having to drill the books of the Old Testament and the New Testament for church. Grew up in an African one, so I believe your story. Yeah, same with the African churches. Same thing for a lot of them. The newer ones, they're a little bit more CCM, so you might not see that in the newer African churches. But yeah, them old school African churches, same deal. You had to memorize your Bible verses, and if you didn't, there was punishment. So this is where the Andrew Wilson family, like, if you ask any black, any non-FBA black, they will tell you, like, church is very central. So we've already been through that. And even through those strict churches, the broads didn't even really, they didn't get as much slack as they should have. And that still didn't stop them from being hoes. Especially from my experience, that still didn't stop the hoes from being hoes. You still had your cohort of women that was getting pregnant at 16, 17, 19. If they didn't go to college, they got knocked up by their coworkers. You know? Yeah, they would use, so Pyro saying in Jamaica, he says his people would use the broomstick or the belt buckle. Yeah, belt buckle, that was just, belt buckle is common. That's common. Now the broomstick, that's wild work. But I've heard of that too. I've heard of that too. Sorry, I'm laughing at two things right now. Hold on, let me turn off my phone here. Here we go. Let me play oh man, sorry. My fingers slipped.
Social circle. We agree marriage is awesome for men. Divorce is terrible for them. So it seems like we should be attacking the divorce structure here. And it doesn't seem like you actually have anything to do that other than just avoid the thing that's great for you, because this other bad side effect could happen.
Sure, that's
so
like smoking cigarettes.
So why don't we attack the bad side effect when we have the mechanism to do it? It's not if, we can do it now.
Okay, so like smoking.
He's not wrong that women need pressure to act right, but his model is built on sand. The majority of people don't live in these communities anymore. The system broke the family. It's not going to save it now. His model is for a world that doesn't exist. Coach Greg's warning is for the world we actually live in. Who are you going to listen to?
You're imagining. Your imagination is great. John Lennon would be great. You know, you would be proud of you at this particular point.
But I'm imagining all the people.
You're imagining all the people under a situation and a structure that you brought in here, all right? But the state highly governs this, and the state highly governs divorce. I'm dealing in a reality situation where I'm trying to counsel men to give information to. The best thing you've told me is that you're willing to give men the option to do this. Are they willing to all do this option? The answer is probably not, just like they're not willing to do what I'm telling them to do. However, we're both attempting, which is a good thing. It's noble. However, your situation rarely exists. Can we talk about the reality of what exists?
Sure.
Oh, by the way, shout out to Baker in the chat. Shout out to Baker in the chat. Said it's sad that we ain't gonna have old school relationships. Yeah, old school relationships, but it is what it is. We ain't gonna have old school nothing with AI and issue, especially now with AI coming in. In terms of the traditional marriage, it's a wrap. It's if you want that, you're probably gonna you're most likely going to have to leave the States. You're not gonna find it in church. Respectfully. There's too many. It's no. Especially now where you got the OnlyFans thoughts to Christ pipeline going on, actively going on. I mean, especially like where I live. Believe it or not, Connecticut's got like the highest like OnlyFans creation in terms of creators. Now, those same girls, they're gonna hide it, they're gonna delete it, and then, or if they get caught, they're gonna say they were forced to do it. That's what you're gonna see. That's what you're gonna see. It's gonna be a lot of that. That's why I also focus on this channel on that. Where I tell you these broads, they're gonna get caught up because they're gonna want to settle, not because they want to, is because they have to. With the economy, with their life, they're going to be burnt out from the whole life, from living their quote unquote living their best life. They're going to be looking for somebody, and then once they get caught up, then they're gonna you find out, you put a private investigator on them, and then you find out that they used to do OnlyFans, or they did pornography, or they have a sex tape that they did in college. I've seen a lot of stories like that, and the dude finds out, and then what they say, I was abused, I was tricked into doing this. So that's the new thing. That's the new thing. This is why this is why I mentioned these, scenarios, to give you a heads up. Just to give you a heads up. Let me finish off the video. My bad.
The reality hits hard. We see it everywhere. Gen Z men are terrified to date. Women are embarrassed to even post their boyfriends online. The government isn't going to let men opt out. So let's answer the question. Is marriage worth it for men in the West? Based on this debate, in the real world of 2025, the answer is a thunderous no. Coach Greg didn't just win this round. He proved that for the rational man, the debate is already over.
So, by the way, thank you, Manosphere Highlights Daily, for being one of the few bigger channels to put his reputation on the line and say the obvious. But it's hard to say the obvious when you have people like Andrew Wilson, who have politicked his way throughout this space. A lot of the major creators in the space, or a lot of mainstream ones, he's buddied up with, he's collaborated with. So they're not going to say he lost. They're not going to say he lost. So it turns into a popularity contest. So shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. And you're going to, like I said, you're going to see more and more channels come out and in support of Coach. You're gonna see more and more being brave enough. Like remember, like in the live chat, it was a whole bunch of people in the live chat going crazy. People that saw earlier, right? And they're just there to basically discourage you, or to act like, to go on there to support their boy. But I gotta say the obvious. Sleazy said you got to go to Mexico or some other hyper-religious country for that to work. Spain, Mexico, Afghanistan, Israel, Japan, or Malaysia or something. They haven't lost that religious social pressure. It only works because people already know about the obvious spots, like the Philippines, Thailand, Colombia. Those are the obvious spots, right? But you need to go, if you're going to do a country, right, or you're going to a country, you need to find a place where there's no child support, right? There's no family court. There's no like thing where women can just lean on this if they don't feel like working on the marriage no more, if they don't feel like being with you anymore. You got to find a place where there's no government crutch, right? So this is why we talk about Colombia and these spots, or the Philippines, where divorce is illegal, right? So you need to find a place as a man where you have the leverage. If you want a traditional marriage, you need to find a place where you, as the man, have the leverage. That's all. Now, those guys, they don't want to do that, because I say, why don't you do passport? Why don't you find? And like I said, most dudes, they don't want to, they don't want to move. They don't want to leave America. They just want to make things work here, with the American woman. You got a lot of dudes, they don't want to, they don't want to switch races. They don't want a certain race of women. They want their race of women, so they get the same results, right? It is what it is. CS says, did you hear that there is a pastor who was living polygamy lifestyle with 2 wives, second one being pregnant now? If government gives power to church and marriage, how does church prevent things like this? Well, at the end, I'll just say this. There are I would have to look into that. But I'll say this in terms of the polygamous lifestyle. I'm not going to say most of these pastors are living polygamous lifestyles, but a lot of them are. I don't want to say most, but I'll say over 40% of pastors are living a polygamous lifestyle, whether they want to admit it or not. I will be, that's a safe percentage. But I can guarantee you over 40% of pastors in the United States, they're living a polygamous lifestyle. Now, I don't know what the scenario you described, if like he's officially married to those two wives, you know. and when I say polygamous, I'm not just talking about just being with more than one woman. I'm talking about women, men, pastors with several men. Close the doors. Close the doors. That's another dude. Look, Marvin Sapp. I got respect for Marvin Sapp in terms of his music. I love his music. His music is great, but he is what he is. I think he's alternative lifestyle, but his music is so good. His music is so good. Oh man. So yeah, CS said under current laws, I don't think they could officially marry. Oh yeah, because it's not allowed in terms of you having two wives. Is it if government gives power to the church and marriage, how does church prevent things like this? Technically, the pastors, it doesn't even matter. Like a lot of people seeing a lot of these pastors, they get away with murder. So whatever the pastors want to do, low-key, the pastors, they can start an actual movement if they wanted to. But if they, like, say if more pastors started to be like, men should have this and that, I think the pastors would actually get in trouble with the state, because the pastors are there for a reason. The state gives them power only up to a certain point, not to influence like actual change. If they do something like real, then the government's gonna step in and say, okay, we're gonna shut your operation down. Anyways, but yeah, what's it, on the edge with Mark? Yeah, he was in the stream earlier. He was in the stream earlier. I don't know why I think he's upset. Specifically when I said I called him Rachel Wilson's side dude, because he said he was a fitness trainer of Rachel Wilson's.
Unqualified.
So he did like a whole breakdown on my video. But this is what concerned me with his breakdown on my channel. This is on the response to the debate. He mentioned the part where I was talking about the black woman that wanted to debate me about the female journalist thing, and I said thanks but no thanks. And she was saying, oh, I'm afraid to debate an intelligent black woman, and I was like, ma'am, you in your 40s, man. Stop. This is not, first of all, you're already lying on what I said. You're already lying on what I said. You're misconstruing what I'm saying. This is not going to be, this is already done in bad faith. There's no debate here. Now we can debate about sports. I don't mind debating about sports, because sports is just sports. It's just entertainment, right? But in terms of this stuff, we're talking about my opinions on what I see, particularly what the women are doing. There's no debate. It's right in front of you. It's just people don't want to say anything. But Martin Ruelas was saying that I should have debated her because I think she's not qualified. But shouldn't that be he goes, well, shouldn't that be an easy win? That happened to me. I would have done something if somebody did. I'm like, so you cool with debating low-hanging fruit? This is what the Christian debate me bros be. And you know how even people that know me on this channel, I've told you guys I'm not debating women on my platform. I'm not doing that. That's not what my platform is for. There's other platforms for that, right? So I've already said that, number one. And number two, where's the pleasure? Where's the learning? How's the audience going to learn me debating a mentally ill Black woman that's in her like 40s, or like she's in her late 30s or 40s? And what are we even going to talk about? My opinion? Or what I think the female journalists are doing? It's a complete waste of time. That's not, I don't get pleasure out of that. Like it's not even about a content thing. I don't get any pleasure out of doing that. Oh yeah, shout out to G-Man. Yeah, that's exactly what he said. They're like family to me. Rachel was abandoned. Chris, she was abandoned. And then I do a little bit of research, just a little bit. I'm like, she wasn't abandoned by the dude. The dude caught her cheating with her then second baby father, and he left. That's not abandoned. She cheated. But she was able to flip that into she was abandoned. Wow. So a bitch could cheat on you. You leave the bitch for cheating, or you find out the kid that you thought was yours is not yours, and she's gonna say that you abandoned her. This is what, dude. Oh, who cheated? They said who cheated? Rachel. She cheated. She cheated. She was the one that cheated. She cheated. She was the one that stepped out. But this is why I always tell people, like, even when they talk about dudes in the past, oh, dudes was just leaving their family. No, I don't think so. I think what was happening in the past, since we didn't have paternity tests, I think dudes was getting trapped in certain situations. I think there were certain chicks that was getting knocked up by bad boys. They realized they got knocked up, forced themselves on an unknowing dude, got married quick, and then dude thinking he's getting a girl all to himself. Kid comes out, and he's looking at that kid, and he's like, I don't know if that's my kid. And then they would leave. Because back then there was no paternity tests, right? There was no, you talking about the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, during that time, the so-called traditional time. There was no mandatory, there was no DNA testing to find out if the kid was yours. So I think there were men getting caught up in that. Dudes would leave because they would think that the kid isn't theirs, but they had no proof. But I think there was a lot more women not telling that side of the story, that, nah, dude caught you. He found out that he wasn't the only dude sleeping with you during the time where you guys were supposed to be together. He found out he wasn't the only one sleeping with you, and now he has questions on whether that kid that he's staring at, and people wondering why these guys started getting drunk, these guys started developing drinking problems, is because he was looking at that kid and he's like, did I just get duped? Did I just get trapped into this situation? What do I do? I don't have the proof, but I don't think that's my kid. I think that was what's happening, because it's the year 2025. And hoes like Rachel can still pull that I was abandoned crap. And she was the one that cheated on the dude. I'm talking about they still get away with it. But yeah, that dude was wild. They're like family to me. Rachel was abandoned. Chris, she was abandoned. That's what he put in my chat when he came in. There's no debate to be had, because the debate would be what? That you're not Rachel Wilson's side piece? Hey, maybe I'm wrong about that. So I guess 1 point to you, but clearly you disagree with the Andrew Wilson CGA thing. So you would have to prove that CGA was just wrong about marriage in general. There's nothing there. there's nothing to debate, sir. And I say that respectfully. But it was interesting. He had a breakdown on my profile. That was very interesting. But I hope I can find that part when he was talking about, just debating low hanging fruit. First of all, I'm not even a debater per se, so I'm just here to give out the information. But in terms of just if it's going to be in bad faith, which it already is, and especially after watching this video, this is going to be in bad faith. This is going to be in bad faith.
Easy W, right? Runs from this.
Yeah, this is I'm actually right at the part. I think I'm right at the part. So let me bring it back to minute 32, where he was where he was saying I should have debated the mentally ill woman. You see this?
Stupid, made up BS on people in the background over here, just saying random shit because they can't defend this at all, so they won't do a debate against me. I will destroy and mop the floor with these guys.
Oh, Pyro, remember there was the by the way, that's not me. So let me speed it up a little bit, because I was very slow on that. Well, I'm slow in general, but let me speed me up a little bit. Well, there was this woman that made the video about me. The black woman that was stalking me. I forgot what her name is. But she found me on Corey Holcomb's channel. She was the one, remember the one that made the video about me because she was mad that I said most women are not qualified, sports reporters. So then she Oh yeah, by the way, she did she found me on Corey Holcomb's channel and started adding me the whole time. And I'm like, these are the actions of a grown woman. I'm talking about a grown woman. I told her by the end of the interaction, I was like, have a good day, ma'am. This is getting ridiculous. I'm like, how'd you find me here? Made a whole video saying that I said that beautiful women can't be sports reporters, and that's not what I said at all. And then she challenged me to a debate, and I told her, I'm like, I'm not debating you.
Well, hold on. If she's not qualified, she should be easy to beat in the debate. What's wrong?
So this is his logic right here. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's just me, but that's just a weird mentality to have. Right here, when he says, and I told her, I'm like, I'm not debating you.
Well, hold on. If she's not qualified, she should be easy to beat in the debate. What's wrong with this? What an easy W to get. I would debate a woman that shouldn't be a sports reporter at all, and she's unqualified. Easy W, right? Runs from this. You run from black women because you...
Bruh, and this is the problem. The people don't listen. I didn't say she shouldn't be a sports reporter. I said there are female reporters that are not qualified. I didn't say she wasn't qualified. I don't even know that woman like that. I said there are sports reporters. They are using their platform to catch athletes, which I don't have a problem with, but that's what they're doing. They're not really offering anything new to the game. They're wearing club attire on these courts, on the fields, particularly the younger female reporters, and they're just trying to catch a simp. It's another dating strategy that they're doing, which mind you, I have no problem with them doing it, but that's what they're doing. And I was talking about Kayla Nicole. Now, this particular woman, I don't know what her journalism degree is in. Maybe she's a good sports reporter. I wasn't talking about her. This is the problem, particularly with people that I run up against. I don't know. Maybe it's my tone. Maybe it's It's how slow I speak most times, but they don't listen. I didn't say she wasn't a qualified journalist. I just said the women that I've been seeing on TV, most of them are not real journalists. I wasn't speaking on her. She got offended because she thought I was speaking about her. But like I said, I don't think my detractors, I don't think they listen. I don't think they listen, but it's weird for him to say that I should have debated her because she was low hanging. I'm not gonna do that to that woman. That woman probably got kids. She's probably not even that bad of a person, to be quite honest with you. She's probably just upset about what I said about women. There's a lot of dude. There are people that know, like in my personal life, they know I have this channel. They don't they don't really speak to me anymore, and I get it. This is a different, like, this is a different way of thinking. Hold on. I think I messed up the settings on my, okay, I'm good. But I don't complain, particularly when it comes to the women. I don't complain that the women hate my channel. I know they're not gonna like my channel. They're not gonna like my way of doing things. That's not that's not a shock. Like, even I remember there's a woman that's now a great friend of mine who she doesn't like anything that I say on this channel at all. She hates this channel, actually, but she's a friend. She's actually a trustworthy individual. It's just most women, they're not going to like what I say on this channel. So what am I supposed to do? Just any woman that disagrees with what I'm saying, I'm supposed to debate them? People don't we don't live lives like that. But that was just a weird point for him to make. That was just me. That was just a weird point for him to make. Like, I don't do that. That's weird to me. Dudes that do that are like excited to debate mentally deranged people or women in general. Like, when I think about all the beefs that I've had in my life, all the effed up stuff that has happened, it's been like me wanting to strangle that person. I've had women do messed up things to me, and I've never wanted to fight them physically. I'm talking about like post elementary school. When you once you hit puberty. Once you hit puberty, you become a man. That's not even a thing. I'm talking about it, like, women will do like messed up stuff to you, but you don't even feel like fighting them. Even when I'll play like co-ed. I'll be catching these bitches. They be trying to OD tackle me. Like, I remember one bitch, she tried to run into me. She almost knocked herself out. I caught her. I let the ball run away from me, and I caught her before she hit her head against the turf. And she was so ungrateful. It's just as a man, I don't feel like doing that. But we have these debate me bros. Especially, I'm like, this is where I'm talking about this. We were talking about this. I just spoke on a physical situation where testosterone is like involved. Now we're talking about in a talking situation, in a debate. We're gonna talk about this stuff that we were given. What is there to debate about? There's nothing there. But like I said, that's not the goal of this channel, to be debating feminists about what they disagree with me. Oh man. He says it's a trap to call you insecure. Facts. That's why I don't want to debate women. They're just gonna call me. Oh no, I think he's talking about something else. But that's true anyways. G-Man says these type of idiots have nothing better to do. They only debate. Yeah, the debate bros. He says the only debate bros left after the 2016 Ben Shapiro run are all midwit late bloomers who have to feel intellectually superior on the internet. Facts. And I think Andrew Wilson fits that bill. That's my opinion. I think he fits that bill. Like it's not enough that men are physically superior to women. They have to feel like intellectually they just to intellectually dominate a woman. Like they really feel like that's a an accomplishment. It's just like it's like wow. This is what like it's even like I know hoe ass niggas in real life. Well, let me not call him a hoe ass nigga, but it's like there's certain people in real life. It was this girl I was working with in terms of instrumental wise, and this dude asked, "You think she's better than you?" And I was like, "Yeah." The fuck? Oh, really? I didn't. Yeah, she is. In terms of the instrument, we both play the same instruments. Yeah, she's better. Oh, oh, okay. The fuck you wanted me to say? What? You think she's better than me? If she's a better player of the instrument, yeah, she is. They really be thinking there's beef. There's no beef there. There's no beef. That's not my goal in life, man. Oh yeah, shout out to XVYJZ, a hit dog will holler. Yeah, let me just replay what he said. It was just weird. That was just weird to me.
I think they're the masculine men.
Beautiful women can't be sports reporters, and that's not what I said at all. And then she challenged me to a debate, and I told her, I'm like, I'm not debating you.
Well, hold on. If she's not qualified, she should be easy to beat in the debate. What's wrong with this?
Never said she wasn't qualified. That's already strike number one. He's not listening.
What an easy W to get. I would debate a woman that shouldn't be a sports reporter at all, and she's unqualified. Easy W, right? Runs from.
So he said that he would have debated her if she wasn't unqualified. So I'm like, you're basically saying that you're willing to debate low-hanging fruit just because. I'm talking about just because. Don't you guys understand? A lot of the times that is a trap. Like, like if you're playing sports, sometimes the space. So I'm saying sometimes the space that an opponent is giving you, it's a trap. So you thinking, oh, there's spaces there. Let me take this space, and really, it's a trap that they just set up for you. Like, I hope you guys understand. To the people that to the deeper, thinkers, or the people that also play sports, I hope you take that analogy and run that with like, just because the space is there doesn't mean you should take it. A lot of the times it's a trap. Even when let's take this analogy to women. Just because the woman is being all up on you, the woman is choosing you, doesn't mean that's not a trap. You need to be careful. Like, easy, just because it's easy doesn't mean you take it. But anyways.
This. You run from black women because you think they're the masculine men that you've made now in the black community, and then you run from me because a real man challenges you to a debate, and then you want to hide behind this channel and then levy false allegations against the Wilsons.
I don't know what the false allegations against the Wilsons are. Rachel Wilson had 3 kids with 2 baby daddies. Like, that's not false. Like, that's on you if you don't want to do your research, right? The only thing I probably might be wrong on is that you're not smashing Rachel. Now, I'll say this, that I better not catch you. I better not catch no type of evidence that I'm right about that. You better be spotless when it comes to that. I don't want Andrew Wilson coming on the podcast talking about this fucking guy that said who was my friend. Yo, I better not see that, or I'm telling you, if that happens, I will have to put my pettiness to the front table, and I will literally have my title called "I called it first." I called it first because it's funny right now. It's a joke, but I put it like this: you're a little bit too. You're too vested. You're too invested. You're too invested. You're too invested with me, quote unquote, lying on Rachel being quote unquote. Well, not quote unquote. You're too invested in me talking about Rachel's past sexual experiences. Because even the women that I know that I'm not sexually involved with, or I see them as quote unquote a friend. If somebody starts bringing up their past, I'll just be like, hey, I got nothing to do with that. I just be like, hey, don't mention that around me. I don't know nothing about that. I don't want to know because I'm not invested. But you seem a little bit too invested, and it's usually the dudes that are simping around her, or the dudes that are the simps that will believe a story like, okay, Rachel Wilson was abandoned. Only a simp or somebody that likes her physically would believe that nonsense. Would believe that nonsense that she was abandoned. Do you know how many? Like I've spoken to so many women in my life. I have not met one woman that said it was me. It was my fault. I ran him away. I have not met one. Not one. It was my fault. I was doing this to him. He's a good dad. We just didn't work out. I have not met one. They all have a sad story about their ex, a victim story about their ex. They all do. All the females I've talked to, or the females that I'm even cool with, they all have some weird drama story with their ex. And then a lot of times you'll do the research and they weren't even together. They were the side chick. So this is where I put two and two together. And then you say you were a fitness trainer. I was like, oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. That's I'm sorry. That's a logical conclusion. That's a logical conclusion. Okay, don't act like that didn't come out of nowhere. That's a very logical conclusion. Completely misconstrued my
You can't even say
oh yeah.
misconstrued, but do crazy shit.
What I said. You're already, but yeah, most of his but like I said, don't leave no hate comments. That's not what I'm here for. No, leave any hate comments, because then they're gonna start crying, then they're gonna start reporting my channel. But I just found it interesting. It seems like this is the profile of Andrew Wilson fanboys that I'm running into. They like debating. They love Andrew Wilson, specifically when he takes down low-hanging fruit. This is the profile of these guys. Low-hanging fruit. Why don't you debate the woman? You said that she wasn't this. You run away from the black woman that you created. We created. The fuck? You're afraid to run into a real man like me. Sirs, please stop it. To debate a real... Oh, man. My head hurts. My head hurts. You don't get it, sir. I don't think you'll ever will. But the debate me bros of the was it the Christian sphere? I don't know what to call these guys, but there's too much of these people in this space. Too much dudes getting pleasure out of dudes debating crazy liberals, right? A lot of the times they're trolling you. A lot of the times first of all, a lot of the times these women, they go on these podcasts to get free pub. A lot of the times the women are engagement farming, not necessarily trolling, but engagement farming. They know what they're doing. Like, remember the what's the ugly chick that went viral for saying I don't do coffee dates? Remember the mad, like the real fat, ugly gorilla that went viral. Let me see if I can find that woman. Fat chick says she doesn't do coffee dates. Like, yeah, you'll see stuff like this. Hold on. Let me see if I can.
How delusional.
So right here, you'll see like women like this. They'll say stuff like this, right? Hold on for a sec. Uh-oh. My mouse just died. But anyways, let me use my cursor.
Says here, I'm a hot girl. Let's see what she has to say.
I feel like I should not have to deal with having a hard life.
What?
I'm a hot girl, and I feel like I should not have to deal with having a hard life. Like, I feel like when God made me this pretty, he intended for me to fully benefit off of pretty privilege and have the easiest life possible. So for anything, for any small and consider.
So there are plenty of these bear bitches that have done stuff like this. I've never covered it because they're clearly engagement farming. It's not even trolling. They're just they know what's going to drive up their TikTok numbers, their stuff. They know is going to be you Andrew Wilson fanboys, you Christian nationalists, the normie dudes. What is she talking about? Look at her. That's what she's playing, y'all. Mind you, I'm pretty sure she's sleeping with a dude that has none of these things. I guarantee you, she's sleeping with at least 2 or 3 dudes that have none of these. That are clapping the ish out of her tooth shaped ass. You know what I mean? So she's clearly engagement farming, but people will ask her to come to the whatever podcast. Get her on the show so you can debate her. About what? You'll see these hoes get popular for engagement farming like this, and these people will be in these comment sections, these talking about you should debate her. Bruh. You got to be kidding me. But anywho, what the G-Man said, he said, these guys live for that moment in the shower where you imagine winning a debate with a good comeback and everyone cheering. Well, a lot of those, like I said, a lot of those guys, they don't have. I really. This is why it's really important for like young boys to be involved in things where they're already used to being cheered for. Right? Because these guys, they didn't make these sports teams. They didn't do this. They didn't have activities where with people cheering them on, or they've been on the losing side way too many times to where, or they don't have a skill where I'm talking about they don't have a skill where they have to turn off their phone so people stop calling them. Right? They don't ever get to that place of leverage in life. So their entertainment, their joy, it's supposed, like when you see these hoes on these podcasts making a damn fool of themselves, it's just supposed to be a chuckle. He's just supposed to be like, oh, I guess this is what this hoe is saying. Wow. And it's just supposed to be a chuckle. I mean, if you want to make some content off of it, fine. But in terms of like to actually take that as gospel, as like that serious, nah, you just take it for what it is. This bitch is acting like a clown on this podcast. Because eventually all the other bitches, they just start catching on. Oh, let me just go on this podcast and act a fool and get my numbers up on my OnlyFans. Those same Christian dudes that be doing all the shaming, they're the ones running up their OnlyFans numbers. You saw the stats. It's 90% of male users of OnlyFans is married. They can blame the incels and the virgin dudes all they want. See, it says you can't shame women nowadays when they could even monetize the cringiest, embarrassing thing, but social pressure works. Exactly. They can like it's everything is monetized now. Like a woman don't even got to do much. Okay, so Sydney Heifer says, bro, Andrew Wilson is a genius. He said he always wins these debates against these morons. Well, I will hope so. I would hope a grown man can win a debate against a liberal leftist that thinks a man is a woman and a woman is a man. I would hope so. He got her. He got her. He got her to admit. It's like it's the same reason why I don't even debate. Like look, shout out to you for having a sense of humor, right? But it's not even, like I said, it's not even like, this is why I don't even debate baby deletion. And when I mean baby deletion, I mean the A word, because I think the left and right are hypocrites when it comes to that situation. But let's take the left. Let's take women, for example, when it comes to the baby deletion. A woman will look you straight in the face, particularly the leftists. They will say it's just a clump of cells. Then they'll see a story of a dude deleting a chick because she refused to have the baby deletion. He'll get a double murder charge, a double deletion charge, and those same women that said it was a clump of cells will go on and be like, yep, it should have been a double deletion charge, after looking you straight in the face and saying it's just a clump of cells. So that already shows me the left side. Oh, it's just whatever's convenient to the women. If the man does it, it's a deletion. But when a man does it, is a murder. But when a woman does it, it's just it's just an abortion. So that's useless. So what I do, I challenge the conservatives. I'll say this to the conservatives. I'm like, okay, you think abortion is deletion, right? Okay, fair enough. So why don't you start pushing for women who commit these deletions? Shouldn't they be getting deletion charges? And what I found is when I started challenging the conservatives on that, they don't want to address that. They don't want to address. They don't acknowledge it, because in their mind they don't really think baby deletion is murder as well, because they're not willing to put their money where their they don't want to put no real money on it. The money where their mouth is. I don't know what the saying is. So I'm like, shouldn't those same women that commit these baby deletions, shouldn't they be getting deletion charges? And when I start saying that, they're like, well, and they start making excuses. I'm like, oh, so you don't even really stand by that statement that baby deletion is murder. This is why you lose this debate with the liberals every single time. You got to stand on what you say. Got to stand on what you say. But like I said, yeah, facts. Shout out to XVYJC. I'm gonna call you 15 YJZ from now on. 15 YJZ says, "Why debate morons?" That's exactly. I remember my cousin, he set me up to do a podcast, basically a show, when he brought an OnlyFans broad on. And there was really nothing to talk about. She was just talking about her lifestyle, how she was an escort. I told her, like, yo, you might want to change your lifestyle because you doing business with ninjas, having, ninjas dropping $100 here, $200 there's on you. That's not good for you long term. You might want to change lanes. But that's my only objection that I had with her. Like my cousin, after the show was over, because I was very cordial to the woman, he was like, I thought this was going to be more fiery. I'm like, well, you wanted me to debate her about what? She said she was an escort. There's nothing for me to say. She she admits what she is. What is there to debate? But that's what he was looking for. There's nothing to debate. I think he was more upset that it was like when he would have other bitches on the show, the so-called normal bitches, and when I had questions for him about certain things, my cousin didn't. I think my cousin caught wreck of it because I bet you, I'm pretty sure those girls were like, "Is it not supposed to be your cousin? You didn't vet him. He said mean things to me." And I said nothing of the sort. All I did was ask questions. There's no, where's the debate with why debate an escort? I'm talking about an open escort. There's nothing for me to say. Nothing. Right? G-Man said that's not genius. That just means he can breathe with his mouth closed. But like I said, that's kind of how Jordan Peterson gained popularity, right? He was one of the few, Canadian males that was willing to say out loud, like, I don't want this, the alphabet people controlling my speech, really. And the far right, not the far right, the right held him up in the air like he was Jesus Christ. Right? But I'm like, guys, he's Canadian. At the end of the day, he's Canadian. He's just speaking common sense. He's not saying anything groundbreaking. And he's not like a debater like that. He has his theories and he's evolution psychology. I think that's what his major is. That's where he got his PhD in. He said some, and Jordan Peterson has said some interesting things from time to time, but that doesn't make him like the guy just for saying something that's common sense. I guess people respect his bravery, but it's like that doesn't make him a genius. You could just say that makes him brave. So Sydney says the left has lost it, saying men can get pregnant and men can have periods. It's just gotten out of control. You are speaking some good facts up in here. He says they know it's murder, but if they stand by that, they know they lose the debate. Exactly. But that's why, but there's no convincing a leftist because the leftist will literally look you in your face. And I'm just like, you just said it was a clump of cells. Nope. If the man does it, it's murder. They'll look you in your face and say, no, if a man does it, it's murder. If a woman does it, it's not murder. And they'll just, and the liberals will stand on their delusion. And it's just, like, you know what? Never mind. This is where, as a man, you just be like, well, there's no debating here. There's no debating crazy, right? It makes for good content. It makes for good eyes, but there's nothing there. There's nothing there. These are, like I said, the left. These are the same people. They'll be like, we lost the young male vote. How did this happen? We lost the young male vote. And this is where I come in. I'm like, are you serious? Sydney says you should do a podcast and enjoy. I'm enjoying hearing you. You actually have some good knowledge. Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, AJ, he likes Andrew Wilson, and that's my OG, right? That's Pyro's OG. That's a lot of people's OG on it. He likes Andrew Wilson, right? Now, I just don't see the genius of him. That's just my opinion, right? But that's just I look at it like this. I look at it like this. That's just how far left everything is gone, where Andrew Wilson is seen as some kind of savior. It's the same thing when you have people on the left, they'll say that Charlie Kirk was far right. You're just like, there's no hope. There's no hope for that. There's just no hope for that group of people. There's no, like, I remember I shared a meme on my Instagram where you'll have the left saying, well, Charlie Kirk was as far right this and far right that, and then you have the actual far right people just like, are they serious? And mind you, those lefties, I've ran into like people that I'm talking about in my personal life where I suspected them of being far right. And these are people that you don't really want to run into. To say Charlie Kirk is far right is laughable, but this is the left. This is the liberals. They think the left is so left right now. They think Bill Maher is far right. I've seen it in the comments. They're like, he revealed his true colors. I was like, Bill is as liberal as it gets. I'm talking about as liberal as it gets. He's the polar opposite of Bill O'Reilly, right? Back in the early 2000s, you always had the example. What's an example of a person that's a conservative, a pundit? Bill O'Reilly. Who would be his polar opposite? Bill Maher. That was the classic example of the 2000s. Pyro said it's true. It's like challenging a dude with Down syndrome to build a rocket ship. Facts. 15YJZ says people need to be honest and admit life is gray, not so black and white. But that would require people coming to a compromise. Oh yeah, by the way, what's it? Undead Chronic, one of the people I look up to in this space. He don't fuck with CGA like that. I'm not saying he hates CGA. He don't fuck with CGA. Hammerhand don't fuck with CGA at all. Right? But it just it is what it is. I ain't tripping off that. Like, I remember when Undead Chronic first came on my channel, and he I'm talking about commented on my channel. I was like, man, thank you for your content. You, CGA, and Hammerhand, Sandman, you guys really saved my life, right? But Undead Chronic, he understands, even though he doesn't fuck with CGA, he understands what I'm trying to say. He didn't reply back like, what? CJ? Nah, fuck CJ. No, he just said, oh, thank you for the compliment. Right? Oh, he said, what's your opinion on Candace Owens? Candace Owens is the only conservative with balls, but at the same time, she's a plant, kind of. If you do the research behind Candace, like a lot of the people in that conservative party, they have acting backgrounds. You know what I mean? They're just personalities. They're not really people to be taken seriously. But shout out to Candace Owens for being one of the few conservatives with balls. Respectfully, right? Respectfully, particularly when it comes to calling out the small hats. But I think Candace Owens is married to a small hat, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what to feel about that, but she's one of the few that has balls. So I'll give her credit. So Sydney also says, do you think the country will always be this divided? Yes, it's engineered to be this way. that's how it's supposed to be. Let me see. Yeah, they would not agree with Andrew at all. Nah, Andrew is not. I don't know, because he's different in terms of, because at the end of the day, CGA, Hammerhand, Sandman, these guys, person that I like personally, Iman67, it's been demonetized every time he tries to start up his channel. Right? They have nothing wrong to say about MGTOW. They have nothing wrong to say about MGTOW. Nothing wrong to say about MGTOW. So they will forever have my respect. And mind you, when it comes to MGTOW, I used to think, I was like, MGTOW, men going their own way. And I looked at myself as a man. I'm like, man, there ain't nothing that's going to stop me from being with these hoes. Boy, was I wrong. So now everything is limited. Everything is literally limited. It's just, and I thought I couldn't live like that, but I can. And there are other ways I can still enjoy being with women without having these kind of expectations, right? So I already know what most women are going to do before they do it. Respectfully. Respectfully. Even the ones that are on my side, I already know what they're going to say before they say it. So that's how I live my life. Now, there's a few exceptions, but usually those exceptions, they're usually married or already taken. So that has nothing to do with me anyways. Yeah, G-Man says, it's been a while since I asked, so I forget. Where do you see male-female relations in the next few decades? Well, with AI, it's unfortunately, once women start getting their stuff together, AI is going to be taking over. AI is going to take over. So you're going to have these female bots. They're going to take the attention away from the women. The women are going to lose their mind. But in terms of male-female relations, it's basically, have you watched Ready Player One? That's basically where we're going as a society. It's not even a matter of male-female relations. Women are just gonna sleep with who they want to. Men are gonna take what they can get. Now, it's gonna be less and less once the pendulum swings back to the men's favor in terms of women wanting the men's attention. I don't think the men are going to really want much to do with the woman. It's just going to be like, men in the future, men are going to treat women how finance bros usually treat women, right? In terms of when we talk about in America, men are going to treat women like how the finance bros treat women. So I've spoken on this channel. Finance bros are notorious for messing with escorts, right? So that little strategy that women do by acting like they're going to sleep with you, but they don't, teasing you, it doesn't work. So now most men are going to kind of operate in that, not necessarily abundance, but since they'll have no faith in the broads doing what they're supposed to do, by the time they get back on program, the love is not going to be there anymore. They're going to have to find a Christian simp that still believes in them. An Andrew Wilson type. Now, the regular dudes, even the liberal dudes, they're like, what's happening? The liberal dudes are getting their wake-up call. They're like, wait, I thought this was 50-50. I thought they just don't want 50-50. That's just what they don't want to pay no bills. Bitches don't want to have. I remember a pastor had said this, mind you, a black pastor. He said, I don't care what a woman tells you. No woman wants to have to work. Let me repeat that. No woman, I don't care Christian, RP or not, based or not, no woman wants to have to work. But they put themselves in a position where they have to, but they still don't want to. So it's just something that they're going to have to, they're never going to get over it. They're never going to get over that bitterness that they put themselves in. They put themselves in that situation. So the future is just basically, particularly in America, it's just going to be like Ready Player One. You'll have a few relationships here and there. Society will still survive because, you know, you'll have dudes still messing with women that they shouldn't be messing with. You'll have the woman will keep, the woman is going to keep some of them, delete a lot of them, keep some of them. Immigrants are still going to flood the spot. AI is going to take over. We'll still survive as a society, but it's just going to be a different way of doing things. Garrett Grant said, "You're a brave one with this stream." You know, but shout out. I'll say the shout out to Daily Manosphere Highlights. Shout out to him. If I can bring up his channel one more time. Let me bring up his channel one more time. He's the first one of the only bigger pause. He's one of the only few bigger channels that was willing to say Coach Greg Adams won the debate. Everybody else was either on the fence or they said Andrew Wilson was on the right and Coach Greg Adams was mean, right? The reason why they say that is because Andrew Wilson has collaborated with many of the bigger channels. So they're not going to talk bad about him. So shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily for putting his platform on the line. It's only been me and probably one other channel that I saw where they said Coach Greg Adams destroyed Andrew Wilson. That's it. It's been like me, and I saw like one other platform. I don't even remember his name. Everybody else was saying Andrew Wilson won, or oh yeah, Coach Greg Adams was making 0 points. All this nonsense. You're just like, okay, you guys just okay. And then especially, I said earlier, Garrett, there was this one channel. His name is Cool V1C. He said CJ was saying nonsense. I told him about the family court thing, and he told me straight up, what's the big deal about family court? And then I proceed to find out he admits, the Cool One VC, that he's taking care of a single mom. He's married to a single mom that has a kid from another dude. And he said that she's been in family court, not me. And I'm like, wow, that's a disaster waiting to happen. But shout out to you. I can't do nothing for you. Can't even pray for you. Can't even. It's just. I'm like, so these are the people that's saying CJ is wrong. Wow. But anyways, 15YJZ says woman's worst fear is a man who knows his value because he can't be controlled. Exactly. And as a man, you need to put yourself in a leverage position, not just financially, but just knowledge wise. You need to be the man. You have to be the one with the leverage. I've seen stuff about, 50-50 and all this stuff. And people disagree with me when I say this, but I'm like, I mean, if you're doing 50-50, you're putting yourself in a non-leveraged position. Because I'm like, what happens if she decides to leave you? What happens if she cheats? You're going to have to stay with her because you're doing 50-50. That's why I don't even advocate 50-50 on my channel. It's not because I just want people to be rich. No, it's just as the man, if you give her any type of financial leverage, you need to be able to kick the bitch out when you need to and pay your sinning fee while you do it. Right. That's where I want men to be. I don't want men to be in a leverage position where they don't have the leverage. And at the same time, Women act right for the men that have leverage. They just do. That's the only dudes they act right for, is for the men that have leverage. You can bring God, Christianity, and all this stuff. I ain't never heard of any Future's baby mamas talking about what's that thing? I did a whole stream about it. Well, postpartum depression, right? Postpartum depression, right? I bet you if DDG, watch this, if DDG had like multiple baby moms, I'm talking about several baby moms. If he had several baby moms and like several different kids, he would not be going through the hell, the baby mama hell that he's going through right now. The reason why he's going through that is because that bish Halle Bailey has his only child. Now, if he had multiple kids with multiple different women, he actually, ironically, he wouldn't be going through it. But that's how it works. If you're a man with the leverage, that's the only time women act right. The men that actually need to be on child support usually are not. Why is that? Is because he probably has multiple kids with multiple different women, or he's a criminal, right? She thinks that he might delete her if she goes to the courts. It's all about leverage. Yeah. G-Man said, I forgot about Halle and DDG. Poor bastard. He needs to, if it was me, if I was DDG, I'd wash my hands. I'm not going through that. He should just wash his hands. He got 17 more years of nonsense. 17 more years of nonsense with that bitch. Dude, just start another family. If you want a family, so just start another one. You'll make more kids that look exactly like you. Just have another family. If you want, just let it go, man. You're the bad guy anyways. Remember when SKC came up in here? Oh no, and he was accusing AJ's friend of him being the wrong. If you're gonna be the bad, you're gonna be the man. Fuck it, I'll make another one. That's what Corey Holcomb. Remember when Corey Holcomb said that? He said, "I'll just make another one." Make another one that looked just like me. That's what I do if I want a family. But I'll just wash your hands and just pay your monthly child support. I'm not gonna be paying monthly child support and I gotta ask permission to see my own kid. Please. Remember I gave the solution on the last stream. I said, well, you can be like a semi passport bro, right? You can live in the United States, but you knock up a chick in Thailand or in the Philippines, and then you just visit your kids for a period of time, and then you come back to the America, and then you just have her. You pay a caretaker to take care of your house and your wife. Just literally pay a maid or a caretaker to take care of your peoples in Thailand or Philippines, and then you come living in States, and then you just visit your kids from time to time. You actually have a better chance of seeing your kids like that than if you married a bitch and you broke up with her and the kids live literally down the street from you, but you can't visit them because it's not your court allocated time. What kind of how as a man can you live like that? You can't live like as a man. You can't live like that. Please, you might as well dip. I'm out. If that happens to me, I'm out. There's no way. You can't do that to me. Please. And mind you, I'm pretty sure if I did it that way, the bitch would even bring me to child support. Trust me. If you live it like that, if DDG was living on that type of time, Halle would not be doing that to him. I'm telling you. Every single time I see it, this always happens. It's the dudes that really don't care. That's what the baby moms be really trying to do the most for. Especially the ones that have multiple kids with different broads. Yep. G-Man said even other Keishas was calling her out for her postpartum depression excuse. I remember that. It was like I'm talking about the worst of the hoes was saying, ma'am, stop it. just stop it. And I knew she was going to use that postpartum depression. She's like, I didn't allow my child to be on Kai Cenat stream and all this nonsense. I was like, oh, here we go. Then she started getting called out. I was like, watch, she's gonna blame it on postpartum depression. Watch. Oh man. G-Man says that one girl from Assassin's Creed cutscene. Fine, do away with my children. I have the equipment to make one. But I'll say this. You know what's my favorite video game cutscene of all time? It's from Uncharted. It's from Uncharted. That's like my favorite. That's my favorite. Hold on. Let me see if I can bring up that cutscene before I leave. Uncharted 2. It's from Uncharted 2. It's from Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2 funny moments. Uncharted 2 was underrated. Uncharted 2 has some of the funniest video game moments of all time. It's the part where I'm looking at this part. I'm trying to find the funny part in that one. I'm looking at the cutscenes real quick. It was Uncharted 2 was one of the underrated games of all time. It had some of the funniest cutscenes I've ever seen. I even love the cutscene in Uncharted 2 when Drake he meets up with his ex. He meets up with his ex while next to the current girl that he has. And she goes, Chloe Decker, old model. Nice to meet you. Oh, that was funny. That was funny to me. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that I know it was a dry joke. But I'm like, only a woman would be that petty to come up with something so. Have you ever had have you ever had like a girl and she meets with your girl in real life and then the ex decides to say something petty? Like she can't help it. She just can't help it. But I gotta find the scene where it's when they were running away and they caught Drake and they found the map. And Drake's partner, yes, Sullivan. It was Sullivan. That was funny. Sullivan tries to read the map and Drake was like, Jesus, can you read while we're young? That's the scene I'm looking for. I don't think I'll be able to find it.
About it when you get back. Go!
I don't know if I'm gonna get a copyright strike if I show this, but I don't know if I'll be able to find that scene when they had Drake tied up and Sullivan was trying to read that map. That was hilarious. He's like, Jesus, Sullivan, while we're young. Let me see. Uncharted 2. Jesus, while we're young. I gotta find that. See, Uncharted 2. Uncharted 2. Jesus, while we're young. Sullivan. Wait, no, isn't Sullivan the old guy? No, Sullivan's the old guy. It was this British dude that he was partnered with that turned on him. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find that scene, but yeah, Uncharted 2 is funny as hell. Uncharted 2 was funny. See, Pyro said, please look up Mortal Kombat Armageddon Striker Punch Melina. Here's the thing about Mortal Kombat. I didn't really play a bunch of Mortal Kombat when I was young. That might be shocking to a lot of you guys. I didn't play a whole lot of Mortal Kombat. But they do have Mortal Kombat got some of the fun, like some of the most graphic finisher scenes. That's basically where they put most of their times in the most of their efforts is in the graphics of the finishing scenes when it comes to Mortal Kombat. Let me see if I can bring that up. I'll search that up. Mortal Kombat Armageddon Striker Punch. Mortal Kombat Armageddon Striker punches Melina. Oh, okay. Let me see this. I don't know if that's the whole thing. I hope that's the one that okay. Yo, Lord. But yeah, Uncharted. I'll say this: Uncharted was underrated. Particularly, I'm talking about Uncharted 2. Just another underrated video game. Oh, you know what was a really good game? I think, what was it called? Because I played the demo and then I played the whole game. Like I had rented the game. This is back when you can rent the game. I rented the game and then I had to return it. Let me see. The Darkness. PS3 game play. Yes, The Darkness. That was a really good game. The Darkness, the first one. I don't think I played the second one. I played the first one. That was an underrated ass game right there. Very underrated. But in terms of cutscenes, I just thought you saw that punch. Yeah, I think I don't know if I think I rented it. I think I rented The Darkness from the library. I could, but this was back when you can rent. That was back when you can rent the games. It was either from Blockbuster. I think it might have been from the library. Like back in people forget back in the day in the library, you can get a lot of stuff from the library. It was like this program that they were running. They were trying to like do like an experiment where you can rent games, but they only did that for a little bit. But in the library, you can rent VCR, VHS tapes. You could borrow VHS tapes for free. You could borrow DVDs. You had to pay for some of the DVDs though, but there were some games you could rent. And I remember they did like a little experiment. And I got the Darkness for the PS3. Man, those were the days. Anyways, I used to, that was like on the tail end of when people would rent games. This was probably what? Man, I was a kid, man. That was a long time ago, man. That was a long time ago. I can't even think that way back right now. But yeah, The Darkness, that was a very underrated game. But anyways, I'm so mad. My mouse died on me midstream. Damn. But it just needs I guess it just needs a AA battery. I'm looking at it. I'm like, damn, I haven't changed it in a while. G-Man says, I remember renting the entire series of 16. What? I haven't heard that show in a minute from the library back in the day. That's the I remember they used to show that show on Cartoon Network. Let me see if I can. They used to show that on Cartoon Network. That's a classic Cartoon Network show. 16 Cartoon Network. That's a classic show. Oh man, that really brings me back. That was a classic. 16. That's a classic. That's what like these are the shows like when you talk about mid 2000s or the tail end of the tail end of the 2000s. That was the last of those kind of like shows like that. Even to a lesser extent, Total Drama Island, even though that went more into the early 2010s. Man, 16, man, that brings me back. Oh, shoot. Yo. I remember watching 16 and be like, damn, I wonder what's going to happen to me at 16. And I'm just thinking that the age of 16 was so far away. And now I'm way past 16 now. I'm 27. I didn't even have a moment to be like, oh, I'm 16. Let me rewatch the 16 series. Oh man. Yeah, Johnny Test. Yeah, he said he rented the whole series. I rented the whole. I remember I rented the there was this British show I used to watch. It's called Brum. I think. What? I hope I'm saying it was like Brum British show. It's like a car. Yeah, bro. I used to watch this joint. This is like a show from like the 90s, but I was watching it in the 2000s. Man, I brought like that whole DVD series of Brum. I used to watch Brum. I watched Animorph, the Nickelodeon series Animorph on VHS. They had it on VHS. Yeah, Brum, Animorph. Let me see if I can bring up Animorph real quick. That was a classic TV show too. Yeah, Animorph. Yeah, Animorph. Well, I'm trying to think of other shows. Animorph, man. What am I missing? I'm missing like one major one. A lot of major ones that I would, but particularly renting from the library. I would watch a lot of British shows, a lot of British skits. They would have it on DVD, but then on VHS tapes, I would watch a lot of like old Nickelodeon classics, Cartoon Network classics. Oh man, that takes me back. Oh yeah, didn't the blonde? Well, actually, let me not spoil Animorph. Let me not spoil it. Thomas the Train. He said he just watched Thomas the Train. Hey man, Brum, that was such a exciting series for me when I was a kid. Dexter Laboratory. I will say this: the last of the entertaining cartoon shows was Ben 10 and it was another show that was similar to Ben 10. Shoot, what am I missing? What's that show called? I think it's called Generator Rex or something. Generator Rex. That was the last of like the great action Cartoon Network shows with the action shows. Because Steven Universe, that was just too much. As much as I love Adventure Time and these type of shows, I got love for those shows, but those shows, they had too much alphabet stuff going on, like especially with like Steve's universe. They had like alphabet stuff going on, so I couldn't. I had to stop watching it. Yeah, Generator Rex. Generator Rex. That's what it was called, right? Generator Rex. Yeah, Generator Rex. That was like the last of the great Cartoon Network action shows. How many seasons were there? 5 seasons? Damn. I might have to rewatch that series. Yeah, Generator Rex. That was a great series. For me, I liked it. That was interesting. Yeah, in Ben 10, yeah, you had Ben 10 Alien Force, Ben 10 Ultimate Alien. I remember they had the movie that came out on Thanksgiving on Cartoon Network, Fire Breather. They never made it a series. I was so mad. Anywho, I just went down memory lane. Yeah, exactly. Adventure Time and Steven Universe is hella rainbow. Yeah, I had to stop watching those. Even though I'll say this, Adventure Time is funny as hell. I even go hold you. Yeah, Regular Show and Gumball. Those are the last decent ones. But like Regular Show and Gumball, they weren't action shows though. But I'll say that in terms of the just cartoon shows that had quality. Yeah, I would say Regular Show and Gumball. Those are funny shows. Those are legit funny shows. Like I was watching those shows in high school. Right? Adventure Time to me was funnier than Family Guy. In Adventure Time be having some rainbow stuff in there though. But especially the earlier seasons of Adventure Time, funnier than Family Guy. Funnier than Family Guy. To me. That was a funny series. One of the funniest episodes I ever saw at Adventure Time was when they showed the Ice King's origins, how he became the way. I know it was like the episode was just it was just them. It was the Ice King and the chick. I'm blanking on her name. And they were singing. That was a funny ass episode. that was one of the funniest Adventure Time shows I saw, episodes I saw. That's one of the better ones. Yeah, Generator Rex. Last time they cared about boys entertainment, and that's the point right there. Because these shows, they used to always have at least 1 or 2, 3 or 4 shows where it focuses on boys at action and adventure, right? What the little boys want to see, what the teenage boys want to see, right? So yeah, that was one of the last of those shows that really catered to that. And I'll say this, Adult Swim used to be popping. I don't know if Adult Swim is popping like it used to, because I still see, like, I still watch some Adult Swim stuff from time to time. Like Mike Tyson has his own show on Adult Swim. And Andrew McDonald, he plays the bird. Rest in peace, the comedian. He played the pigeon in Mike Tyson's. He was funny in that one. But it's not even Adult Swim doesn't even have the funny shows anymore, you know? Yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Korra, The Legend of Korra was too. They messed it up, in my opinion. They messed up The Legend of Korra. But anywho, I can go on and on about that. I can go on. Let me. But shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I went basically an hour overtime just talking about old video games and shows that I used to watch. Man. And you know what? I'll say this. If I get the chance, I'll reach out to the female journalist because she's of an age where she should be able to listen to reason. And I'll tell her, like, look, I got no beef with you. I don't want to debate. But if you want to talk about sports, maybe I'll do a sports stream and I'll call you on and we'll talk about sports. I'll land out a branch, an olive an olive branch, because there's no beef there. There's no beef. Now, if she doesn't, that's maybe I'll think about doing that. Because look, I don't mind talking about, sports. That's just sports is entertainment. It is what it is. A lot of our sports views might even align. It's a lot of people I meet like that. They think we're gonna OD disagree, and we actually don't. Right? Yeah. He said Cora was so effing ish. She hold every avatar. Yeah, like that, where that's like the main part, the connection to all the past avatars, and she just decides to start fresh. Are you kidding me? After all the work that they done put in. Yo, nah, I didn't like that, man. I didn't like that. Man, he said I didn't like the second Avatar one bit. She did like, but what was deep about that series, low key, was it showed the lack of spiritual training that she had, and it was like the complete opposite. She mastered the physical. Well, not necessarily she excelled at the physical, but literally had zero spiritual, which is basically the point. And then when she finally got to the point where she was decent at the spiritual, even though she needed help from Janora to get to the spiritual, she still messed it up. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Aang had never had no problems with the spiritual. And here's the thing with the Legend of Korra. She acted like, maybe, you know what? Maybe it didn't make sense for her to end up being a carpet muncher. Right? Maybe it makes sense because she acted exactly like how a overcompensating carpet muncher acts like. She acts exactly like that. So you know what? Maybe it does make sense that that's what she was. That's exactly how she acted. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Because I'm not trying to debate her. Maybe we can talk about sports. But I don't know. People be getting offended. Like I'll say something and people take it as completely different. And I don't know. People she doesn't want to admit that she was just offended on when I was talking about what a lot of female journalists do, particularly when I was talking about Kayla Nicole, right? Travis Kelce's ex. I don't consider her a real journalist. I don't care what degree that she claims she got from ICDC college. She's not a real journalist. And I had a real problem with her celebrating with the Eagles fans just because Travis Kelce lost. That was just weirdo behavior for me. And she got offended that I called her out on that. I don't know what that got to do with her. But like I said, hoes of a feather, they flock together, right? Hoes of a feather, they flock together. That's what I say on this channel. She had a problem with it because she sees a lot of herself in Kayla Nicole. because I don't know in what point in my rant where I never said that beautiful women can't be journalists. I don't know how she came to that conclusion. I'm still just like, huh? What do you have against beautiful women? And what? I just said hoes in general, women in general. In fact, the one decent female journalist, or was it female sports journalist, that I knew, I'm talking about in real life, she was actually very pretty. She just knew her stuff. There's this one soccer. She's not necessarily a journalist, but she speaks the most sense out of most of the normie pundits, right? Because it's different if you're talking about a pundit that's played soccer before. But there's this one. She actually does a decent job, but she's actually she just happens to be a blonde white chick, but she's pretty. But she knows what she's talking about. And I think Kate, as a moderator, does a good job with CBS when she's up there with Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher, and Michael Richards. I think she does a great job. I don't think she's ugly. It's just there's just a lot of the hoes. They just they they know what they're there for. I know what they're there for. The gravity analogy. Yeah. I think that was G-Man that brought that brought up the gravity analogy. I didn't want to like stuff like that. I don't say it like that because they think that I'm the people that you target with that, they think you're calling them a dumbass or an idiot. But it's just like, what other analogy can I give you to describe what you're doing right now? Right? But yeah, shout out to you guys. I'm gonna close this bad boy off. We're near the 4-hour mark. I cannot believe I talked for 4 hours. That's why I started at 6, so I could land at least at 9 or somewhere between 8 and 8:30. But thankfully, I covered everything. Andrew Wilson fanboys, it's not like they bother me, but they concern me. It's not attacking low-hanging fruit is usually I'll say most times it's not it. But this is what the Andrew Wilson fanboys they stand on. But shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for keeping active in the chat. And you saw that barrage of the Andrew Wilson army in my chat. You saw him. Shout out to you guys for for standing your ground. You guys stood your ground. You guys stood your ground in that chat. You guys are great. Let me see what I can end the stream with. What should I end the stream with? I'm gonna do we ended with Umar. We're ending it with Umar. We're ending it with Umar. No, actually, nope. We're ending it with Corey Holcomb. Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys.
You trust me. I don't give a fuck what you do for a bitch. It ain't enough. Trust me, my nigga. Every once in a while, you meet an exceptional bitch. Right. Remember, like in the movies, Django, the exceptional nigga.
Right.
Every once in a while, you might meet an exceptional woman who actually is happy that you are her friend and that you give her love, affection, and anything else. Right. That's rare. I had a bitch, I did everything for this bitch one day. Then when it was time to go, the bitch was like, "You coming over?" I'm like, "I got shit to do tonight."